Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now enjoy a large iced coffee for just $2. Add a breakfast sandwich to make a meal. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Very, 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 Mickey, 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 Fishy, Fishy!
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out and go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
We are live, and you are listening to the best wrestling podcast on the planet. I, of course, am the most compelling voice in wrestling media, Joe Lanza. And yes, I did say we are live. This man is no longer bouncing around the Oregon Trail or whatever the fuck. Rich Craich is here. He did come to work this week. So, how you doing, Rich?
Doing well. I did. Many times I was around the Oregon Trail. I even stopped at the Lewis and Clark. There's a bunch of Lewis and Clark shit all over the place there. So yeah, I was palling around the Oregon Trail a bit. So you're correct. Usually you're very off. You say I'm in mountains. You say I'm in forests, and I was in a fair share of mountains and I wasn't a fair share of forests. But yeah, this time you nailed it with the Oregon Trail thing. So
did you play Oregon Trail on like a Commodore 64?
Yeah, so I didn't play it on a Commodore 64. I played it on, and like everybody of my age group all played it on the exact same computer, because like our schools had just horrendous computers when we were growing up, like just awful computers. Probably not much better than a Commodore 64, even though like, and at this point we're talking like 1998. Like computers were okay, by 1998, but our schools had the worst computers, and yeah, the only games you could play were Ski Run or whatever the skiing game was. There was some like I think you were supposed to learn math from it or something like that. There was some other weird math crunchers, math munchers or something like that, and then Oregon Trail was all they could really do. So
was it the Chris Harrington Apple II? It
was not the Apple II. No, it was slightly above the Apple II. That guy's a magician with the Apple II. Have you seen some of the stuff that Chris Harrington can do on there?
Yes.
This guy's supposed to be crunching numbers for the number 2 wrestling company in the world. And he's over there, making, a Cody Rhodes image on an Apple II. You know what I mean? It's just like, I love it. It's so great.
I think he's doing AEW stuff on the Apple II. He writes his own code.
I would love that, yeah, where someone asks for it, it prints out on like the old dot matrix printer. It's like, they're like, all right, Chris, like, how long is this going to take? He's like, 1 moment. Like, what are the quarter hours? Like, 1 sec, it's coming. He's got to, rip off the sides. They all had the dotted sides or whatever, the perforated sides. Rip it off. Here you go. Here's our quarter hours. Like,
I
go to the copier to make other copies of this because I can only print out one. It's going to take too long.
I had someone send me a text message during one of those many weeks that you were away, and they were like, is this guy ever going to do the show? Like, is he ever coming back? I'm like,
someone tried to swoop in and take it?
No.
Oh, I said they could have it if they want it.
I said, I have no idea. Guy doesn't communicate with me. He's in the woods somewhere. I have no idea.
So untrue.
So I'm just going to
untrue.
I'm just going to keep doing it.
I over-communicate
goes
with
back
you.
up.
But anyway, yeah.
Hold on a second. I had no clue you were gone for the second show. I didn't.
All right. That's fair. I probably didn't communicate that very well.
I had no clue you weren't going to be there for the second show.
Okay,
so don't lie to these listeners, okay? No clue. I woke up that Thursday not knowing you weren't going to be there for the second show. Don't lie to these people, okay?
That might be true.
So then I had to haphazardly throw together a show format and put something together and be clever about it and do my fake listener questions, which were all very funny, loaded with inside jokes, by the way. If anyone picked up on every inside joke that segment was loaded with, congrats to you. I don't think there's anyone on the planet who picked up on all of them. But anyway,
that would have to be
guy,
you got to think of like who would be that person. I mean, they have to be friends with you, probably personally, right? In some ways,
I loaded them up, but the point here is
Rob Stryker is the only guy who, even in the universe, could maybe do them all.
He wouldn't get all those inside jokes either. A lot of them are Voices of Wrestling specific and are Slack chat specific. I went deep with some of these, but anyway, point here is you're off in the woods. I don't know what's going on. I get a text
the second week I was in the coast, to be fair. So.
And this person's like, is he ever coming back? I'm like, I have no clue. I legitimately do not know. I just come to work every day, do what I got to do.
Hard hat, lunch pail, Joe Lance.
Yeah. I do my 19 podcasts a day, and if I got to do the flagship, I do it. They both went out maybe like an hour late each Friday. What do you put them up, like noon?
Usually a little earlier, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., somewhere around there.
Yeah, they went up like 1 in the afternoon on Friday, so I got the job done. I got them up. Andrew Rich, tremendous job, the producer. He'll get a little extra taste this month. He'll get a little extra taste. He did a lot of extra work while you're off, hiding with fucking Sasquatch in the Pacific Northwest. So anyway, I told this person, I said, look, I have no clue. I really don't know whether he's coming back or not. This could be it. So then he follows up with, where'd this guy go? And I was like, again, I have a general idea. I think he's like in fucking Washington State or something. I don't know. Maybe Idaho. Who knows? Somewhere over there in the upper left-hand corner of the 48. That's where he is. And then the guy says to me, this is going to make you angry probably. He goes, this guy constantly takes vacations and then he posts the pictures and it looks like he's in the same place every time. Like why the pictures always look exactly the same with this guy. And I'm like, I don't necessarily disagree.
How do you not? Okay, 1 second. No, hold on a minute. Hold on. Yeah, right. I am. I posted like like I am on a beach. I'm on the Brian Alvarez territory at Cannon Beach in Oregon. How is that in any way similar to my Death Valley? You made fun of me for going to a desert, correct?
I did.
There was an entire show where you made fun of me for going to a desert, right?
I'll read it to you verbatim.
So you can't make fun of me for going to a desert, and then when I post a picture of a shoreline and a coast in the ocean and say, "Oh, all these pictures look the same."
Listen, I'm telling you what this person told me.
Well, I think I need,
Hold on.
Well, do I know this person?
He also said the vacations are ill-timed, which again I can't necessarily disagree.
I can't disagree with that either. For the record, we do these a year in advance. We time these, and they always find a way. The egregious one was the WrestleMania weekend. I get that. That was not, that one was an all-time bad one. But most times it's like we do it a year in advance, and like I'm not, if I took a vacation normally in October, it wouldn't matter. But then like the G1 gets moved to October because of the Olympics, and then 2020, okay, we had COVID and all that sort of stuff. I decided, hey, I'll take a late vacation. I'll take one later in the year. And that's fine. It makes sense because it's like whatever. And that was because of the original scheduling of the Olympics pushed the G1 to the fall. So then the Olympics, because of COVID, get pushed again in 2020. Like, I can't control that. Normally, the first week of October, the last week of September is pretty clean, right? I'm supposed to know there's a G1 going to happen in the fall. They're planning these things a year out in advance, so I can't do that. The WrestleMania weekend one, you got me on that one. That I have no retort to.
Is this rich guy on vacation again? He posted a picture of him out in the woods. Guy is something else. He goes on all of these vacations and all of the pictures are just him in the woods. That's what it says.
Wow. Man.
Listen, I'm just reading it verbatim.
I mean,
and then I'm like, and I don't really respond much. I'm like, I just say, yeah, he's on vacation again. And then
do I know this person? Do I know this person?
I am not at liberty to say. And then the guy's just going on and on about why does he go on all these vacations and it always looks.
Well, where does this asshole go on vacation then? All right, where does he go on vacation? Let's talk shit about his vacations.
Maybe he'll hear this and he'll respond. I don't know.
Sorry, I don't go to Cancun, pal. All right, sorry, can't afford it. Can't afford.
I don't know that. But
try to go to Hawaii, but I'm a nice guy, and I thought, hey, a lot of COVID in Hawaii right now. I'm not going to go to Hawaii anymore.
This person had questions. I didn't have answers. I don't have the answers. I don't know why he's asking me.
Well, tell him to text me and we'll talk it out.
Yeah, I'm not the one in the woods. You got to ask the guy that's in the woods. You know what I mean?
I got made fun of for doing a vacation in a desert, and now I'm in the woods and it's always the same. You can't win with these people. You can't win.
Guy, this wasn't me. This was the mystery text.
I feel like this is you projecting This mystery texter.
I will. You want me to screenshot this?
No, it's fine.
To prove my innocence, I read you the text.
No, that it's not your verbiage. It's not your.
Well, it kind of is, but it wasn't me though. Like I can screenshot the conversation.
Did I mention this human before on the show?
I don't know. Listen. I'm not at liberty to say. All I know is people are talking. I mean, it's it's I don't know. I'm just it's
a lot of people are saying things.
A lot of people are saying
the classic. It's a lot of people are telling me that this is the case. So
right.
I'm sorry. I guess I don't know. Am I apologizing? I don't know. What am I doing here?
I don't think it's calls for an apology. I just think I'm just saying
the listeners are talking.
There's people out there that there's at least one person out there who's like, where's this guy going? Like, does he go to the person asked me, does he go to the same place every time? And I did say
no.
I said no. Like,
Thank you.
You're mad at me, but I said no. It's a different. He's in the Oregon, whatever. This time, last time he was in fucking Iceland or whatever the fuck. Another time
that was 2 years ago, but yeah. Anyway,
another time he's in fucking Death Valley. It's not. I said it's not the same place every time, and the guy was just like, "Oh, all right. This looks like he goes to the same place every time." I'm like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you."
This man does not. This man does not appreciate nature. I take it.
And then I think the conversation ended when I was like, listen, I have to do G1 audio, a Thursday TV reviews, and a flagship today. So are we done here? Because I'm a very busy man. And then that's where it ended. So I'll show you the screenshots.
It's fine. So I just opened Google Photos. I don't know if you use Google Photos at all. But they have like things they'll give you like little highlight packages or like it'll be like dogs.
Rich. I don't take pictures unless someone's naked. I mean, let's be honest.
Okay, so Google Photos does not. Yeah, they probably don't make a collection for you. But I just thought it was hilarious that I opened Google Photos to try to look at my photos to say, do they look the same or do they look like I'm at the same place? And the first collection, I'm not kidding you, that comes up is me in the woods, and the title of the collection is quote.
Yeah.
In the woods.
Yeah. You're like KTB. You're constantly in the woods.
It just says in the woods.
You can't deny that on every one of these trips, at some point, you're in a forest.
Okay, so this one is taking me to Olympic National Forest, which I did go to, and that was in Washington. That was in 2019, May of 2019. So that's fair. I guess Yosemite National Park has some. I mean, there's trees places. I don't know what to tell you guys. There's trees at places. Like, what do you want me to do? Sequoia National Park has trees. It did have trees. They're all burnt down now. But it had trees when I went there. Yeah. Yosemite has trees. Like, places have trees. I don't know what to tell you. Except for Death Valley, which had no trees, but I got made fun of for going to Death Valley, too.
You're getting wound up. I told the guy that it wasn't the same places every time.
Fuck this guy.
I'd said that.
Is he a patron? Is he a $10 patron or what?
Again,
there's many of them. I would never be able to guess who it was based off that.
Listen,
small fact.
Listen, here's the thing. Just like when Johnny Sack wouldn't tell Tony Soprano that it was Paulie Walnuts who told him about the joke about his wife. I'm not telling you who this man. I can't give up this source. I feel like I'd be breaking a confidence. If I don't know if this man wants you to, because why wouldn't he text you and ask you about me if he wanted to?
So it's the person who would have my number then.
I don't know. I don't know who's got your number and who doesn't.
Ooh, okay.
So,
but it's not unrealistic that this person would have my number.
I don't think this guy has your number, but
okay.
I can't give it up. I don't know, but I don't think it was necessarily malicious. He just had questions.
Okay. I'm going to toss and turn all night trying to think of who this is.
Well, I mean, you are an anxious millennial.
I am very anxious about this now.
See, I wouldn't think about this again ever.
You would never. In 5 minutes, you're not even going to remember that you told me this story. This is going to stick with me for weeks. I'm going to record that vacation here on patreon.com/voiceswrestling as well. And I'm probably going to bury that person that I don't even know.
Yeah.
Maybe I know. Potentially know. Absolutely, they're going to get buried right at the beginning of the show.
I was just like, fuck that guy, and I'd never think about it again.
I said fuck that guy, but I'm absolutely he's rent free in my head for weeks now at this point. So congratulations.
People tell me I should die daily on Twitter, and I'm just like, fuck that guy. I don't care. It's good to want, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. I'm as healthy as an ox. Yeah. So
speaking of Oregon Trail, the ox, yeah.
What?
You don't remember the oxen from Oregon Trail?
Paul Bunyan?
No.
With his ox? What was the ox's name? Blue or something like that?
I do not. I don't know if I remember Paul Bunyan's ox's name.
Blue was also the old guy from Old School. Did you see the
Yes,
Old
I
School?
have seen the movie Old School, Joe.
You're my boy, Blue.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, Eddie, which actually kind of leads weirdly into our first topic. Where we're going to start out here. Quick little banter about NXT 2.0. I could definitely see somebody using something from Old School to try to appeal to the young viewers on this NXT 2.0, which is just we're now a couple weeks into this thing. This show is wild. It's so weird. It's not fun weird. Remember how it was fun weird the first episode?
Yes.
That's done.
No, it just sucks.
It just sucks, and it's weird, and it makes no sense, and it's bad, and it just sucks now. So it's officially Rainbow Raw. So congratulations to NXT 2.0. It has Wale doing the entrance music, but otherwise it is Rainbow Raw. So
yeah, that first episode was a little different than everything else.
And we warned people. Remember on that show we said most of these Vince McMahon things, like that first episode is always like, oh wow, hey, whoa, there's some stuff here. And usually it doesn't take long. I think 2 weeks is probably record time for it to absolutely just already feel just like every other show. But that is it's been quite a remarkable turnaround for NXT 2.0.
This is NXT 2.0 is NXT with better lighting and wrestlers that stink.
Yes, it's NXT with worse wrestling. Yeah, it's basically.
Yeah. And good lighting. And they turn the lights on. That's what it is now.
And the attempt at more horniness. There is certainly an attempt at more horniness than the original NXT.
Well, I mean, Dexter Loomis's 10-inch cock. Is that what you're referring
Indy
to?
banging all. Yeah, I wore him out. She's got rubber legs. That was quite the segment there. Good for them though. Good for those newlyweds.
I think that's bonus content on the .com, but your point is taken anyway.
Oh, was that? Oh, was that interview bonus? Oh, that was. Yeah, you're right. That was bonus. Well, they did in commentary. They did say that she was struggling in the ring because her legs weren't under her. I forget exactly what their term was, but it was something of she's been fucking a lot, so she doesn't have a lot of energy.
Right.
Was the implication.
Then she said Dexter Loomis wasn't there because she fucked him so much that he was too tired to get out of bed.
So there's that. Yeah, there's that.
We're not making any of this up.
No, that's all real. That's all real.
This is all canon on NXT 2.0.
I woke up this morning and saw because I watched NXT this morning, and I saw your tweet about Duke Hudson. I swore you were making this up. I was like, what is he talking about? And you're like, oh, Duke Hudson plays poker now to try to, just try to get on the hot, World Series of poker, which nobody has thought about. Nobody has watched any poker on TV in 14 years minimum, 14 years since the last time anybody sat down and went, all right, poker on my television. Let's go. Let's watch this.
When did the World Series of Poker peak on TV? 2004?
I was going to say, somewhere around that 2002 to 2004, because that's when it peaked in society. And anytime I went to a friend's house, we had to play poker. Every college party, we played poker. It was just like, all right, guys, I get it. We're done. Yeah. And then one day, everybody just stopped and nobody played poker ever again. I don't know what happened. All those briefcases full of chips that all my friends had. Nobody's talked about it. Nobody's mentioned it since then.
Yeah. Everyone had a friend too who thought they were Amarillo Slim.
Oh yeah, I had the one guy. I had a friend who just quit his job and was just playing online all the time. And I'm like, are you making money on that? Oh yeah, I'm making good money. And then one day he's just back to his normal job. Hey, how's the poker thing? It's like, okay, you weren't making any money. That's fine.
Yeah, they all thought they were the next Johnny Moss. Everyone had a friend like that, But that's the hot new gimmick for what's his name? Dakota Hudson.
Duke Hudson. Yeah.
Who's Dakota Hudson? That's a pitcher for the. That was a pitcher for the Cardinals.
Dakota Hudson. I don't know if I remember Dakota Hudson.
Yeah, isn't that Major League Baseball hurler?
Oh my God, he's a fucking Cardinal. Of course he is. He's probably going to be great. He's probably going to help them win the World Series this year because it's a white guy that I've never heard of. So of course he plays for the Cardinals, and of course he'll be a key cog in their World Series championship. So perfect.
1-0 Cards in this.
Yeah, of course. Oh no, I know. Yeah, of course. I'm not even watching it because I already know they're going to win.
The devil magic is in full force.
Yeah,
we all
fucking
know.
Harrison Bader is gonna hit some fucking hit a solo home run. They're gonna win 1-0. Yeah, I don't even bother. Don't even bother.
Yeah, they scored on a wild pitch.
Of course. Yeah. Perfect.
They're gonna beat Scherzer. I mean, why wouldn't they? Yeah, but no, yeah, the hot poker trend that hasn't been hot literally for like you're saying 16, 17 years.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Chris Moneymaker, Greg Raymer. What was his name? Greg Raymer, I think was it.
The Fossil Man. That was Fossil Man.
Fossil Man, Phil Ivey. He had a falling out though. He started his own like rival poker league, right?
Phil Ivey, the Tiger Woods of poker.
Yes. I remember there was a falling out, and he started it because then, like one time, randomly, he was on like FS1 and some other weird poker thing.
They all played all the tournaments, but the World Series was the big one, at the Binion's Horseshoe in Vegas or whatever. But yeah, no, that's the gimmick this man has.
Yeah, and if people like, so when I thought like, so I kind of thought like, all right, well, he's just like a guy who comes out with cards, and he's like, I play the card. But like, I watched NXT, he's literally at a card table, and he's just like, hey, hit me. I'm just like,
yeah,
what the fuck is going?
With his Australian accent,
it's so bad.
Show me the flop. Show me the flop.
I said hit me. That's obviously not what you would do in poker.
You don't know. No. Rich wasn't the guy who thought he was Amarillo.
No, I said you guys are stupid. I just went and played Madden on TV or whatever, so that's what I did. I was like, Rich, you guys are dumb, you guys are nerds. I'm gonna go play Madden. So
Rich was the friend who couldn't figure out how to deal, and you'd have to skip him when it was his turn to deal.
I did, yeah. I was not very good at dealing. What I was very good at though is I would get in trouble for my friends because apparently there's like rules about how you play poker and how you're supposed to like, I guess sort of insinuate or fold in certain, you know what I mean? There's like certain, and I think it's a little bit more in blackjack, right? That like there's certain like unwritten rules about how when you hit, when you hold, all that sort of stuff. Well, I would hold it like weird times. Go ahead.
I have a question. Have you ever played poker?
One time in 2004. No, I
have no idea what you're talking about. You keep like mixing up.
Yeah, I don't gamble, and the last time I gambled was probably 2005. So other than sports betting, which I'm also terrible at. So.
You're mixing up blackjack and
poker. I really am, yeah.
I think you're tossing in a little baccarat. You're just all over the place.
A little Mississippi stud. Yeah, I got it all. I got them all tangled up here. So
you're a big Omaha player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a buddy who's a big Mississippi stud fan, I believe. So
Mississippi stud. Okay, all right.
Which I always, every time I hear Mississippi stud, I just immediately think of Tennessee stud. So
you have to.
Yeah. Like the entire time, I'm just thinking of.
Yeah, the Fullers, absolutely. You gotta. And his hit novel Brutus about the fucking tiger in the Appalachia. Have you checked out the Brutus by Ron Fuller?
I don't think I have.
He wrote a novel called Brutus.
Oh, okay. Oh, is this like a nonfiction novel, or is this like a fictional novel?
I can't. It's all over our Twitter feed. We follow the man. He follows us back. He might be listening. He wrote a novel called Brutus, and it's not about beefcake. It's not about Brutus beefcake. It's about a tiger that gets loose from a zoo and then terrorizes the people of the fucking hill country, wherever he's from.
Okay, that sounds pretty fun, actually.
The Smoky Mountains, I think. And he says it's in the same vein. It's Jaws in the Smoky Mountains is how he markets this Brutus novel. Yeah, Ron Fuller. Yeah, he wrote a book called Brutus. I've almost pulled the trigger a couple of times on the Brutus.
I mean, this he was good at booking wrestling. I could see him booking a what's this thing? A tiger? You said?
It's a tiger. Yeah,
it's a tiger. I could see him booking a tiger eating all the hill people. Yeah.
I'm sure he's got the links all over his Twitter. I mean, yeah,
I'm looking at him now. Yeah, he's got it in the. Yeah, he's surprisingly pretty good at Twitter for being pretty old. I mean, he's an older guy, but he's good on Twitter. He knows what he's doing.
I've listened to his podcast a couple times. He has an incredible memory for shit that happened in like 1972. Also, like Eric Bischoff can't remember what happened in 2000, and he just makes things up or just fills in the gaps with nonsense.
with Meltzer bashing. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy remembers like specific angles and who they ripped off by selling the territory to some sucker in like he has an incredible, like he's sharp as a tack. I don't know how old he is. He's got to be pushing 80. Both of them do, right? Well, maybe Ron Fuller's a little young. Isn't Ron's the younger one, right? The big dick one?
Well,
Colonel Rob. No, Colonel
Rob.
Rob.
You're thinking of Rob Fuller's the big dick one, right? We do this all the time.
Colonel Rob Parker is the one with the big wang.
Yes.
I think he's the younger one.
Ron Fuller is 73 years old. Fuller is 73 years old. Rob Fuller, the one with the gigantic dick, he is
with the big hog, yeah.
And we don't know. To be fair, we don't know how big.
No, we know it's a big hog.
No, I mean Ron Fuller's hog.
Oh, he could have a big hog.
That's
too.
we always immediately go, oh, Robert Fuller, he's the one with the big dick, but like we don't know that you know what I mean? Like
guy's like 7 foot tall. I'm sure he's not.
yeah, right. I'm sure he's doing okay. So we gotta at least address that.
Rich, he's the Tennessee stud.
Exactly. I was gonna yeah. So they're 1 year apart. Rob Fuller, the one with the giant dick, he is 72 years old.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So they're about the same age.
And for people that don't know, Rob Fuller is Colonel Robert Parker, Tennessee Lee, that one.
Yeah, I just said that.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah,
because we always just reference them by one who has big dick and one who doesn't. So
didn't he pipe down Sherry Martel? Right.
I think he did, yeah, as he should have.
Well, he did in the storyline for sure. Because
that was a very long storyline. That storyline went on for like 2 years. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he did it in real life too, right?
I mean,
I forget if that was one of those like message board rumor things or an actual thing that happened. But I hey, Sherry's a fine looking woman and Rob Fuller's a man with a gigantic dick. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Rich is working blue today. Usually it's me working blue. Rich is working blue in the first hour. I don't mind it.
I'm just saying, hey, if Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis want to bang and Rob Fuller and Sherry want to bang, that's fine. You know what? Go for it.
NXT 2.0 works blue. So
they do. You got Mandy Rose, whose gimmick is hot, I guess is the gimmick. Yeah. She is hot. Here you are, which I'm honestly not the worst gimmick for Mandy Rose, so go for it.
If the shoe fits,
yeah,
Rich,
yeah, which is good because the Triple H's NXT very often found women and made them less hot, even though they were hot. So that's good. I enjoy this new direction there where people can just be hot. But yeah, that was a
poker player.
Yeah, Duke Hudson, the poker player.
Show me the flop, mate.
And it was so weird too. He was in this like it's WWE production is unlike anything else. It looks. There's no other show that looks like WWE shows do. You know what I mean? The background is just this black abyss of nothing, which is clearly just like the back of, it's just a room backstage with curtains up or whatever. Yeah. It's got the weirdest lighting ever. It's so bright. The green on this poker table, Joe, it is so bright. Where do they find these? Yeah. And he's just there. He's just like a one man playing poker, like, right?
What's the river card?
Right. Who is the commentator? They need to bring him in. The Chad, whatever the fuck his name was, a little chubby guy, a little mustache. He was like the World Series of Poker commentator guy.
It's time for 5th Street.
It sounds like the best part about it too is it just sounded like sound bites from like if you just played an Australian-made poker game, like a computer game. Like say like a 1997, like you were talking about 1997 computers earlier, like a 1997, 1998, like, CD-based Australian-made poker game was basically two cuts because he's like, show me the river, hit me. It's just random sound bites
on a Tandy computer,
right? Hit me
from Radio Shack.
I fold.
Yeah, so he's a card shark. Is he going to come out like the Gambler and flick?
He better come out like the fucking Gambler. Man, is the Gambler still alive?
I'm sure he is. He wasn't a.
Oh, it turns out when you look up the Gambler on Google, it doesn't immediately take you to WCW Jobber.
What?
The Gambler. It takes you to Kenny Rogers, which I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Jeffrey Gann is more important than. Okay, so as far as Wikipedia says, the Gambler is still alive. So.
Yeah, he didn't seem like he was super old or anything.
No. He's a power plant guy. Who's the Chad guy that I'm thinking of here? What a terrible show this is so far. World Series of Poker. Norm Chad. That's who I'm thinking of.
Norm Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get him. He's still doing it. Wow, he's still on the World Series. Good for him. Good.
Yeah, they still air that. But that's my point. No one cares anymore. And this guy has a, Texas Hold'em gimmick. It's unbelievable.
So one last poker thing, and then we'll move on. You are a man who, like me, gets absolutely infuriated when you're at a bar or a restaurant or whatever, and the TV's change from whatever game was on or whatever to like whatever's on after that.
Yeah.
How many times do you? I don't know if you still see this a lot or whatnot. How many times did you see like third-rate, like weird poker tournaments on TV?
Oh, they're still on.
At midnight or 1 a.m. if you're still hanging out at a bar or restaurant or whatever, the game is over. But it can't be a game on like ESPN. It can't be a nationally televised game. It's like your local game. It's like your NBC Sports Network Chicago type thing, or your Bally Sports or whatever. So the game is over, and it's just the weirdest third-rate poker tournament you've ever seen in your life. You have no idea who these people are, and it's just sitting there, and you're just like, what the fuck? Change the goddamn channel. Nobody wants to watch this.
There was a celebrity one on the other night, and Tito Ortiz was playing, and the gimmick with this one is if you take too long to make your decision, like if someone raises or something,
okay,
right? They put a clock on it.
Oh, okay, a little pitch clock. I like it.
If the clock runs out, like you can then buy more time by putting more money in the pot. Like
you throw some chips in, and then you throw more chips in, and you get more time.
Then it adds time, like 30 more seconds.
Interesting.
To the clock. And then if the clock, now listen, no, you're gonna love this. Then if the clock runs out again, they put you in a literal cage. You have to go
no, hold on a minute. What?
I promise you. I was watching this.
What is this called, and how can I watch it? Because this sounds awesome.
It was on in the background when I was probably watching porn or something. So they put you in a cage.
Like a shark cage? Is this like a shark cage? Or
yeah, listen to me. There's like a cage next to the poker table.
You can throw it in the cage.
So you get thrown in a cage. And then for a specified, there's like another clock. And then the game goes on, and they just take your fucking blinds or whatever as you're sitting in the cage. So, yeah, I'm familiar with these sketchy poker shows.
I have never seen that one, but I need to. Yeah, that's... How many people get thrown in the cage, though? I feel like if you know that you're about to get thrown in the cage, you just make a damn decision.
There were people in the cage.
Interesting.
There were people in the cage.
So the penalty is they take your They don't take all of your money. They just take your blinds?
No, I wasn't paying super close attention.
Okay.
But you go in the cage, and I think they take some of your money while you're in the cage. And the other thing is, if you have to declare with everyone also has two cards. It says bluff and whatever, whatever the other one says. And when someone raises and you call, you have to put, like, if you're bluffing, you have to put the bluff card face down and then that gets revealed at the end of the hand, and then they do something with that too. I was like, this isn't even poker anymore.
Yeah, what is this game? You've changed so many of the rules that
this isn't poker anymore. Like, you've made so many changes to the rules. Like, I thought the countdown clock was interesting because, like, all right, let's get it on. Like, let's
right, yeah. Like, what are you doing? You keep staring at the card. Nothing's going to change. Let's go. Let's make a decision here.
There's an element of pressure, which is part of the, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It, like, turns the heat up. So you have to be able to, it's like poker, but you have to think quicker. And I can kind of respect
That's
that.
fine. Yeah, then it gets a little wild with the cage. Then we lose all.
Then they started throwing people in shark cages, and you have to declare whether you're bluffing, and it's I don't know what the fuck.
So there's got to be a benefit, like a cost benefit analysis to going into the cage. Like, say is it like you get yourself into a bad hand, and you don't want to fold, so you get put in the cage? I'm not understanding. I gotta watch this. I think
I'm gonna try to find this while we're doing the show tonight, and I'm gonna let you know so you can.
This seems like something that's on like a Sinclair network or whatever. When you're watching like Ring of Honor that like fell asleep.
No, it's one of them Bally's gimmicks.
Oh, see, I don't know if I get a Bally, but I'm sure I could. I'm sure I could find it. I'm sure it's on.
I will find the name of this fucking poker show, and at some point, and you will have to DVR this, and you'll have to see it for yourself.
I'm fascinated about the benefit, like why anybody would allow themselves to be put into the cage. I feel like you would just be like, whatever, fold, or whatever. Like, I just can't imagine you choosing the cage, but I guess there must be a reason.
I wasn't paying close enough attention.
How do you get out of the cage?
I don't know. Like, they would eventually just like Tito kept getting thrown in the cage.
Well, his brain's kind of mush, so
yeah. And
decision making is not one of Tito Ortiz's best attributes at this point. So
yeah, and then they have to they show them like gripping the bar, like watching the game while they're in the cage.
Awesome.
So I know
well, it's good. It's good. I'm glad to know the old TNA Impact shark cages where they would have the dancers in them are finally getting some good use on this poker tournament. So that's good to know.
We have Poker Central, Poker Night in America.
Yeah, there's way too many of these still. Nobody watches these anymore, but they still exist, which is unbelievable.
Happy Poker Games, World Poker Tour Alpha, Triton Poker, Borgata Poker Open, Heartland Poker, Parks Open Poker. I don't know which one of these it could be. Oh, here it is. Poker Stars Shark Cage.
Well, that seems like that's what it would be. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Poker Stars
All right,
Shark Cage. All right.
Okay, it's from 2015. and they're
It's fine.
airing it now.
It's good enough. That's fine.
So there you go. There's like no description, but that's obviously it. So it's on FS1.
Okay.
And it airs. Let's see. The next airing is on Tuesday at 9 and 10 p.m. So prime time for 2015 reruns of Poker Stars Shark Cage, Rich. And I want to.
And this is a celebrity edition. You're sure?
I promise you, it was Tito Ortiz and a bunch of people from sitcoms that have probably been canceled 4 years ago.
Okay, because
so,
I'm looking at it now, and it appears that our man Phil Ivey is there.
I mean,
so it must be his thing, maybe.
That doesn't seem fair, to be completely honest.
But this wasn't the celebrity one. It's like Phil Ivey and a bunch of other dudes. So
yeah, I don't know. These say Heat 5, Heat 6, but Poker Stars Shark Cage. Yeah, so there you go. If it's that old, then there's people listening who obviously know about this thing.
I think that's bold. That's a bold assumption. I don't know who is watching these. FS1.
Are you kidding me? Did you see Are you kidding me? Did you see the replies to my poker tweet? Nothing but D-gens listen to this show. You should know better. I mean, come on. So I think our listeners probably are very well versed with Poker Stars Shark Cage.
Celebrity edition.
Celebrity edition.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, that's anything else on NXT? Oh, Tony Tits or Joey Tits. What's going on with him? Tony D'Angelo made his in-ring debut. What'd you think about that? As an Italian, I feel like at this point I can no longer actually comment on Tony D'Angelo because he is so Italian that I think Vinny Massaro is going to get upset again.
You think Joe Gacy will cancel you?
Right. I feel like I'm going to be.
You know what? What is the deal with the Joe Gacy character? He's like not even a funny or smart parody.
No, it's so bad. It's like we want to get to the line, but we don't want to go over the line, and we don't really know what the line is. So just say toxic a lot. Just like it's so bad.
Yeah.
Just if you're gonna do it, do it. You know what I mean? Just go and fucking do it. But it's like it's the penny version of the Dan Lambert stuff in AEW. It's so bad. He's like, these snowflakes, you're toxic.
Not even. No, not even. Like he just speaks in soft tones and smiles and talks about safe spaces, but not in the right context. And it's not even clever. Like, it's not even a clever parody. It's just, I don't know what the fuck it is. He wears slacks. Why is he wearing slacks?
I was going to ask you that. Like, is that like a big thing among like anti-cancel culture people is to wear like slacks?
No. He's not, but he's not anti. He is pro. He's like pro all of that stuff. Like he is supposed to. Okay.
Oh, so oh my God. Okay. They're doing such a bad job of it. I thought he was on the other side. Okay.
No, he's supposed.
Oh, so he's like a dork that needs a safe space.
No. Okay.
Yeah. No. Right. Okay.
Kinda. He is supposed to be like an ultra woke.
Right. He's like a Twitter he's like an annoying Twitter follow.
Yeah, but you could have been clever about it and done a parody of someone like that. And it at least might have been funny. I don't know what the fuck half the shit he says doesn't make sense. He's wearing slacks and a button up. That's like the opposite of an ultra woke. Like the guy in the slacks and the button up is your dad who doesn't understand why you're an ultra woke.
Right.
You understand?
Correct. Yeah.
Like the guy in the slacks and the button up is like Ben Shapiro making fun of the ultra woke.
Right, exactly.
Like right. he's not even dressed appropriately.
See, that's why I thought he was trying to be like a dollar store Ben Shapiro thing. That's how bad it is I thought he was on that side of the gimmick.
Yeah, I don't blame you because it's so poorly done. Like,
because I thought his smiling was supposed to be sarcastic. Like, oh, I need safe spaces. Toxic culture. Like,
you know what? You might be right for all.
I don't know if I'm right.
Nobody knows what this. It's just so bad. It's awful. It's not clever. It's not smart. There's just nothing. And like he has these phrases up on the video wall when he comes.
Yes,
out.
It says acceptance and like inclusivity.
Yes, it says acceptance, inclusivity, and then one of them says equity. And I'm like, he's a banker. I'm like, is he a banker now? Why does it say equity? Like,
I have no idea.
Like, shouldn't it
it's
say
Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon that just have read like 3 articles about cancel culture and have now decided that they have figured it out of what the gimmick's going to be. It's.
I'm like, equity? Is he selling mortgages?
Right, subprime loans. He's like,
what is
reverse mortgages? Yeah. Now that's a good gimmick. It's it's like 10 years old to hone in on the mortgage crisis and all that sort of stuff. But that'd be a fun gimmick.
I promise you, it doesn't say equality. It says equity. I have no idea. Like they don't. I think the people writing this don't know what like an ultra woke is. Like it's just so bad. And then we got Tony Tits out there making his debut this week. He did try to pay off the ref.
I love that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to comment anymore on Joey Tits, but yeah, him trying to slip a 20 to the ref is incredible. That is the comedy. That is the subtlety that wrestling is missing. Is Tony D'Angelo sending a 20 to the ref to try to tip him off before the show. Awesome.
Listen to me. Italian people don't care.
Vinny Massaro always cares. Every time I talk about Italian people, Vinny Massaro gets very upset.
Forget him. There's no such thing as an Italian ultra woke. We want to be fucking parodied and objectified. We don't care. Italian people don't care about this shit. Why do you think gimmicks like this can fly? You can't do this with any other kind of people, but they always do it with the Italians because Italians don't give a shit. You know, you can make us caricatures. We enjoy it. Italian people enjoy being made caricatures of. So no, you're allowed to speak on it. It's no problem. I don't know why Vinny gets on you. Probably when you say something stupid. I don't know, but he is a caricature. His gimmick in Lucha Underground was eating pizza.
How dare you? How dare you?
While wearing a wife beater. Okay, he was Tony Tits before. He was Joey Tits before Joey Tits.
The grease stains all over the white.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Coming to the ring with a slice. I mean, come on. But
yeah, I love that. I love that he wrestles in like track pants or whatever. It's just awesome stuff. Yeah, it's just incredible.
Total lowest common denominator.
It's the best.
It's just it rules. Yeah, that I can't knock.
I'm not even sure if that's like a modern caricature, but it's like a perfect caricature. It's probably more of an early 2000s caricature, but I also don't know enough to know that that's not still exactly what they dress like. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm sure you could find Italian street guys wearing tracksuits, and he wrestles in the wife beater because you have to.
Yeah, of course.
You have to.
Well, Italian people wear nothing else but wife beaters. Yeah, that's all they wear.
Yeah, I mean, it's
they wear leather jackets and then take them off, and then there's a wife beater underneath, and that's it. So
that hat, that little hat, he's gotta have the hat on. It's yeah. So that's NXT 2.0. It fucking stinks. It's so
that's
bad.
Nothing that we said over the last 30 minutes was incorrect. That was all. LA Knight beat Odyssey Jones, by the way, who just won their tournament.
Oh yeah, well all the veterans are losing. Aside from LA Knight, like Ember Moon lost, and Frankie Monet lost, and Cameron Grimes lost.
I think Ciampa's probably going to lose. I feel like Braun Breaker's probably winning that title, right?
But for some reason, LA Knight was a big winner over the
guy who won their title, their tournament. Yeah. He just won their tournament.
Yeah. It's just
Frankie Monet already doing jobs, already doing JOBs. That's not a good start.
Did you see the Fab B match the week before when you were in the woods?
Yes, I did. That was
one of the worst matches you'll ever lay eyes on.
That was rough. That was pretty rough. I am amazed that made air.
Yeah, I mean, just horrible.
So that's the best result of it, right? Like that, you know what I mean? Like this is a taped show. It wasn't a live NXT, right?
I don't think they're live.
That's what I thought. So this is like the best version. They thought that was still good enough to put on the air?
Rich, they thought that was good enough to call up.
Yeah. Isn't it B-Fab? But they're calling her Fab B now, though, right?
Are they?
I think no, her name is actually B-Fab, though, right?
B-Fab, yeah.
It's B-Fab. You just said Fab B there, and I'm pretty sure on Raw they said Fab B as well.
I don't know what her name is. Here's her name. She stinks. How about that? That's
bad.
Her name. Yeah. Be bad. Yeah. Is her name. With Gotten to Top Dollar on that team as well. Can that guy like log off? What is he doing?
Oh, he's really big. Yeah, by the way, Angry216 does point out correctly that Carmelo Hayes won the top tournament or whatever, not Odyssey Jones, so I apologize. Odyssey Jones was in the final, though, to be fair. He? I'm pretty sure he was, but I don't know if he was now.
No, I don't think he did. I think Carmelo Hayes beat somebody else.
Oh,
but
man.
Here's the thing. Carmelo Hayes lost last night, too. So.
Oh, there you go. So I'm still justified in a lot of ways.
Carmelo Hayes and our boy Trick Williams, they lost. It's the four-way
yeah, tag. Oh, yeah, Trick's pretty good. No, I was right. Odyssey Jones is in the final of the breakout tournament. Yes. Carmelo Hayes did defeat him,
Yeah,
though,
he didn't
so
win.
he didn't win. So I was incorrect. in that.
Carmelo Hayes won. Yeah.
But-
So the two finalists both lost last week.
Right, there you go. How about that? That works too. Yeah, pretty weird. It's a very strange show. But yeah, what's Top Dollar? He's a former NFL player too, right? Isn't that AJ Francis or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, he is very gotten to it, not in like the fun, endearing way, but in the like, bro, log off. You're very gotten to, dude.
Super defensive. It's like, dude, just it doesn't. Why? Why are you doing this? You know, I mean, it just eggs people on to pick at him even more.
Well, what's weird is though he's like talking like he's like a 9-year vet or whatever. You know what I mean? He's like, he knows how to wrestle. Like it's wrestling. Like he's been a trainer. It's like, bro, you've been a wrestler for like a year and a half. Like you're not allowed to do. He's doing like Lance Storm tweets, and it's like you're not Lance Storm, buddy. Like
he's like weekend promo. I'm like,
yeah, right.
He's gonna get a reality check on that main roster with that attitude. You know, this isn't. I don't know. He's severely gotten to.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but
it's not a great trait.
Yeah, if you don't know, somebody was like, "Oh, you guys aren't going to be good in the main roster," and he's like, "Nah, we good promo or whatever."
Weekend promo. Yeah. Oh,
it's like, okay. I mean, that's you say that now, but Vince McMahon's about to send you a script that you're gonna have to say, and
I think he stinks. The guy is over the top. He's corny. I've talked about Top Dollar before.
You have talked about Top Dollar before, yeah. Swerve is obviously awesome. Like that. There's no doubt in my mind that he.
Let me tell you something about Swerve. I didn't think he'd make it in WWE, and he has blown me away.
Absolutely,
he is so good,
absolutely.
And he's great. And he's great in this role. This is perfect for him. I like the other guy.
Adonis, the Adonis. Yeah.
Ashanti the Adonis. Yeah, I've always liked that guy as just a solid roster guy.
And B-Fab's a good, like, I think you have her as like a manager. She comes out, she hypes you up, like that stuff's fine. I have no problem with that.
B-Fab, I don't know. I don't have high hopes for B-Fab. And look, it's not her fault that she fucking stinks and they put her on TV in a hardcore match last week. That's not her fault. I mean but I mean,
yeah, this is a bad week for. Hey, who's the worst wrestler on our roster? Cool, let's put them in a plunder match. Let's see how that works. Like,
yeah,
Jade Cargill on that. That was on. I forget Dark Elevation or whatever last week. It was like, what are you doing?
There's the counter argument that the plunder match is a way to hide the fact that they're green because anyone could swing a chair, right?
So well, as we discovered this week, no.
Right? Yeah, no, it's just horrendous. Yeah, so. I don't know what they're doing down at that performance center because I mean a lot of these people look really bad, but I wouldn't mind if it was just a developmental show with bad wrestling. If it was kind of like it was the first week where everything felt different and the structure of the show was different and it even felt like it was shot differently with the camera and now it just feels like Rainbow Raw. That's what it feels like now. So and I think it loses viewers every week, and I think that people realize that it stinks. And I don't know how USA feels about it. I don't know if there's, what they're paying or if they're just running out the string with the contract. But I mean, people like it ironically. People watch this show ironically now.
It is fun bad. It is definitely pretty fun bad. I will admit, as I watched it this morning, it is certainly fun bad at this point. So
yeah.
Yeah, that 0.13 in the old demo, I don't know. Can't imagine the USA is too happy with that, but,
Yankees, Red Sox, definitely a factor, but, I mean, it's not like it was going to blow the doors off.
Yeah, things are going to happen a lot on, on TV. If you have a good show, it doesn't matter,
I think there's more 0.13s in this show's future.
Yes, exactly, yes. Yes, Yankee Red Sox was a big deal, but there will be other things that will be on Tuesdays. Moving forward, that are going to be a problem.
Well, we'll see what Dodgers Cardinals does to Dynamite, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Dodgers Cardinals
will not have the same. No, won't have the same cachet as obviously Yankees Red Sox, but
no, it's not doing a Yankee Red Sox number, no. And it's on TBS, so Turner don't care. They're getting everybody anyway.
Sure, right.
And then obviously, you take a look at the DVR numbers for Dynamite. They usually do very strong DVR numbers when there's something else going on. But it's interesting because when Dynamite, in its first year or two, when something else was going on, the numbers would always go down.
Right. People wouldn't leave immediately and go watch whatever they wanted to watch on the other show.
And the DVR numbers would be way up. But now that Dynamite is red hot, I'm curious if that we'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow will be a great test case of like, okay, there's a good big time baseball game, an important baseball game on right now, but are people like, fuck, Dynamite's great, I'm not going to watch, because that, I always say, people always bring up, oh, well, Monday Night Football, or it's this, it's yeah, there's always going to be things on TV, but there was a time when people would watch wrestling instead of anything else. Yeah, that happened. That existed for a while where, yes, there was Monday Night Football was on Mondays. It's in the name, Monday Night Football. It was always on Mondays, but there was a time where wrestling fans just said, fuck that, I'm watching wrestling. And they watch wrestling.
It's possible for wrestling to be the thing that
right. That's why everyone's always like, well, I mean, come on, what are we supposed to do? There's football out, there's baseball out, there's basketball out, there's an election, there's the news. Okay, yeah, but there used to be a time where people would just watch wrestling, though. They were wrestling fans and said, I'm going to watch the wrestling instead of the anything else. So there's a possibility of that happening, that people just continue to watch wrestling. This will be a great way to see that, because this will be a pretty big game, the one game playoff, and this will be an interesting test, because they're gonna have to be battling with baseball, I'm assuming, a lot on Wednesdays, at least up until I don't know the schedule for the World Series or whatnot, but I'd imagine that there's gonna be a lot.
I could pull up the playoff schedule real quick. MLB playoff schedule, Wednesdays.
Big markets too, so it could be a tough run, but we'll see. It'll be a great test. It'll be a great test if being a hot wrestling product, means more than another thing is on another channel.
Well, Yankees are out. That's good. Okay, let's see. There are 2 games there's a game Thursday night that will go against Impact, I guess, and MLW, if you want to count that. Friday night, there are games all night long going up against SmackDown. Then Monday, there's going to be football and baseball playoffs on Monday. Some of those will be day games. There is one Wednesday during the divisional round. There's one Wednesday during the league championship round. And then there is a Wednesday, potentially 2 Wednesdays during the World Series.
Oh,
a lot of Wednesdays. Yeah. Game 7.
Yikers. Oh, well. A good chance I will be watching the baseball over the Dynamite. Can't miss a Game 7 if that happens. But
and those league championship series games are a Game 4 and a Game 5. They're probably both going to happen.
Yeah.
And now they might, AEW might get lucky in the divisional round. They're both Game 5s. And remember, that's a 5-game series. So they might miss those. That Wednesday, there might be nothing if both of those series are wrapped up. Red Sox, Rays, and White Sox, Astros. So they could miss that day, but they're going to get hit for the league championship series, and they could get hit twice for the World Series. So
let's hope White Sox Astros wrapped up on Sunday, right? Live in the building. Rich Craich.
Look at you.
First playoff game I've ever been to, because believe it or not, my White Sox don't go to the playoffs very often, so yeah, so I'll be there, but excited to finally see a White Sox playoff game. Hopefully it works out. Anyway, lose, we'll definitely get swept by the fucking Astros, but nah, I'm kidding. Am I confident, Joe?
You're going through a crisis.
I'm going through a crisis. I don't know. I'm worried. I'm a little worried.
Just watch the fucking games.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Sit down on the couch and relax and watch the fucking game. You're like talking yourself, set yourself up for the disappointment. It's about the ride, man.
It is. It's just I don't want to lose to the Astros,
Yeah, but you don't want to lose to any of these teams, honestly. I mean, everyone becomes your enemy.
I'll accept a Rays. I'll accept a Rays loss. That's fine.
Yeah, I want the Rays to lose, though. I don't want a World Series where there's nobody in the building. It just looks ugly on TV. Like, they you know what I mean? Like, they need to get out of that city. It's a joke. Like, that city doesn't want them. It's obvious at this point. But, and obviously anybody but the Cardinals. I mean,
oh, God, yes. Yeah. I don't care who wins. It's just not the Cardinals, basically.
Literally anyone. Right. Yeah. I mean,
people are like, oh, I don't want the Dodgers. I'm like, I don't, honestly, Cardinals.
I really don't even mind the Dodgers.
I don't mind the Dodgers at all either. Yeah, I don't mind the Dodgers. I don't really love the Red Sox. They would probably be my second least favorite team in the playoffs.
They just annoy me because they're like, they've overachieved, and I don't know. get their scrappy asses out of here.
Right. I don't want that. But yeah, the Cardinals just please get out. I cannot stand a Cardinals playoff run.
And just fuck Boston sports fans. They've won so much, they don't deserve
But
anything
still act like they've never won anything, by the way.
Yeah. If you're a Boston
they've won
sports
15 titles in the last decade, and they're still like, oh, the Red Sox missed the playoffs. Oh no.
If you're like a 35-year-old Boston sports fan, you've seen all 4 of those teams win like multiple times.
Right. We're including the Bruins in this too, who have also won Stanley Cups in this time period.
Like, fuck you. You don't deserve anything. Like, if you're an adult Boston sports fan and all 4 of those teams fucking stunk for the rest of your life, you're good. You're good. I don't feel bad for you. But you're right. Every time there's like a down year, like they're whining about it. There's Red Sox fans whining now that they're not happy that this team is not being run properly. And meanwhile, they're advancing in the playoffs.
Right.
Like, go fuck yourself. You spoiled pieces of shit. Like, go fuck yourself. I've seen one playoff team in 7 years, and I lost 2 games straight. I can't stand it. The Boston sports. So you know what? Fuck them too. If it was Boston, and
there it is. See, Cardinals. Cardinals, Red Sox. I'm not watching a minute. I'm not watching a second of that game, of any of those games.
Even then, I'd root against the Cardinals. I cannot root for the Cardinals under any circumstance. I just can't do it. I just can't. Look at Harrison Bader leaning into a hit by pitch.
Of course. Harrison
It's got to be Bader too, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So,
I forgot.
Here's your World Series preview.
Yeah, there you go. Fuck all these teams. We hate them all, except for
hate every one of them. Now I could write this off of my MLB extra innings off my taxes now because we talked about.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. We'll lean into it in a ad read that we're gonna do here in a moment as well. So we'll make that work. But I guess let's do that ad read. Let's do it now. We're talking about it. MyBookie, folks, MyBookie.ag, Voices of Wrestling, sponsored this week by MyBookie. They have, of course, the NFL that we've talked about with over $500,000 in contest prize money up for grabs. NFL obviously is back in action. Winning season is back in action at MyBookie. Head to MyBookie.ag and choose from a variety of boosts and free bets and get in on the fan favorite $100,000 super contest. Only $10 to enter that. You pick 5 games against the spread each week. Each win earns you a point, and each point gets you closer to the grand prize. We just mentioned it right there. A lot of baseball to bet on coming up. NBA season is getting going. You got some NBA's futures bets you can do. You got NBA prop bets going on. I'm looking at some of those. I'm looking at MVP. I'm looking at win totals. I'm looking at over-unders. There's a lot of stuff that I'm interested in. I think I'm going to do an NBA Intelligentsia on Patreon over the next week or so. Or maybe I'll discuss some of those because there's some win totals over unders, and I'm like, I don't know. I think you can make some decent money on that for entertainment purposes only, obviously. But yes, a lot of good stuff going on at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Obviously, you want to use that promo code VOICES, and that's going to instantly give you double your first deposit. So if you insert $500 into MyBookie, they're going to give you $500. You insert $10, they're going to give you $10. They will double your first deposit. That's double your money to double your winnings with your first ever deposit using that promo code VOICES at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Again, promo code VOICES to double your first deposit.
Boost. NHL opener, Kraken in their debut.
Joe, you're breaking up a little bit.
All right.
There you go. Now I can hear you fine. All right. You were talking about something about the Kraken, but I don't know anything else.
There's an odds boost on MyBookie with the debut of the Kraken.
Oh yeah. What's the boost?
Any team scores a goal, you win. $25.
That sounds pretty good. Okay.
So that's on October 12th. So if these people make their deposit using promo code VOICES, they can bet that. When's October 12th? That's next Tuesday. Kraken versus the Golden Knights. A goal will be $25 max. You just bet yes on a goal will be scored. Pretty safe bet.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe bet. I would say at some point somebody will score a goal in that game. So yes. There you go. Free money. So, yeah. Free money. $25 maximum.
$25 max. I already have my bet in.
That's not bad though. I mean, it's free $25. Like, why would you not do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotta do it.
Incredible. So MyBookie.ag, promo code VOICES. And they do that all the time. They do it during college football season. They do it during NHL season. I'm sure they'll do it in NBA season as well. Probably score, total, over under 100 or something, you know what I mean? Something that's just obviously going to happen. Or they might just do point scores, something like, who knows? Over under of 1, 0.5 in one of these games. So I'm sure they'll find something to do for NBA season. So yeah, that's free money that you can take there at mybookie.ag. Promo code VOICES. All right, let's so we've talked about NXT 2.0. Let's talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Joe, you have been doing the G1 Climax daily audio over at patreon.com/voiceswrestling, $5 tier. Every single night of the G1 you have reviewed, you've talked about, you've recapped, you've discussed. Overall, for people that have not listened to those, which obviously you should do that, patreon.com/voicesofwrestling. Overall thoughts on the G1 so far? As we're in a little bit of a lull right now, things get going again. By the time a lot of people listen to this, I think another show, one's starting on Thursday morning.
Couple hours.
Yeah, a couple hours. Then they're going to have stuff all throughout the weekend. So we've had a little bit of a time, which has been good. It's allowed me to catch up a little bit. But yeah, it gets really off and firing again this weekend. But what have you thought so far overall of this year's G1?
It's been okay. I don't think it's been a bad tournament. But, this obviously isn't a vintage G1, which I say that and I get in big trouble. And everybody
You gotten in some big trouble. I'm going to read what you said, Joe.
All right, read this. Yeah, go ahead.
Because you got in a lot of trouble, sir.
Yeah.
You got ratioed, as the kids say, because that tweet has 35 replies.
We did not get ratioed.
I'm just kidding.
Most of the people agreed with the tweet.
I know. There's
honestly.
It's fun. But I want to say that we got ratioed because it sounds fun. You know what I mean? To get ratioed.
There's some places around the internet that weren't happy with the tweet, though. But go ahead.
There was a few places. But yeah, Joe Lanza says, quote, G1 Night 1 once again featured some good, but mostly... Night 9. Featured some good, but mostly soulless wrestling. We are 9 shows in, and there's very little in the way of great matches, and not a single match of the year contender or anything close. This is simply not a vintage G1, and halfway through, it's clear it won't be.
Yeah, so where's the lie?
You made a lot of people upset, Joe.
I mean, okay, I don't think anyone could reasonably say that this is a vintage G1. And when I'm talking vintage G1, we're talking 2013 to 2019. I mean, if you think this year's tournament is of that quality, you're either out of your fucking mind or you're lying to yourself.
Right. Or you just haven't watched them. And then we had one reply that was like, literally, I can't think of a G1 that's been better than this year. And I'm like, well, okay, then you've only watched this year's G1. Like, there's, and I like this year's G1 is fine, but I'm like, no, that's just a ridiculous take. Like, you either just say that I've only watched this year or last year. You know what I mean? I've only watched the last 2 years of the G1, and then that might be an okay statement that this year's G1 is the best G1 you've ever seen. That's fine. If you've only seen last year and this year, it might be better than last year's. You might be correct in that. But
I just don't know why there are people that are shape for me saying it hasn't been a vintage G1. I mean, that's a horrible thing to say. When G1 was on that hot vintage run, I mean, those were all-time great tournaments, and you weren't gonna have that in a year where the field is greatly depleted.
Right.
And then one of the best guys that is in the tournament gets hurt on the first night and is out. So then you don't have all the guys that aren't normally in it. And then on top of that, you don't have Naito. So you have this depleted field.
Right. You lose someone like a Will. You lose someone like a Jay White. You lose Tetsuya Naito. I mean, those are 3 big names right off the bat there.
I mean, that's, those are guys that you can count on to have a good to great match every single night. And they're not there. And Minoru Suzuki, like, he may not have been in it anyway because he's kind of trying to wind that down, but he's a guy who's been in them recently. You'd have a guy like Juice Robinson instead of some of the bottom feeders that are in his place who, has a chance to have a couple of big-time matches in the tournament, whereas, you're probably not going to get that with your Tamatongas and Yujiros of the world or whatnot. So, even
even recently, I was going to say, you had someone like a Jon Moxley who came in 2019 and had some great matches that year.
Absolutely. So Moxley's another one who definitely would have been in it, and he has way more juice. So it's like, okay, so everyone agrees that it's a depleted field. We all agree on that.
Right. You can't disagree with that. That it's just an objective truth.
And then you throw in that we're still dealing with COVID clap crowds, so the atmosphere isn't as good as it was in 2019. No one could disagree with that. That's just an objective truth.
Right. I have seen some people that said, well, I just don't focus on it. I don't hone in on it. I don't do whatever.
Maybe you don't, but you can't argue that it isn't better.
Exactly. That'd be my retort to that is like, I don't think any of us are pretending that like, we know it's obvious. We know that, but like, you can't, I don't know that it's fair to grade it on a curve either and just say, well, whatever, there's, the fans can't make noise, but I'm sure this was going to be incredible, or I'm sure this would be a great match, or I'm sure, like, it's a big part of it. That's a huge, huge part of it. And I don't think any of us are getting mad at New Japan because fans aren't able to cheer. I don't think any of us are saying, oh, well, this sucks because fans aren't able to cheer. It's just that like you said, it's kind of soulless. It's good, but it's soulless. And that's not their fault. It's not the wrestler's fault. It's somebody's fault. It's just the fact of the matter. So you can lie to yourself and pretend like it doesn't matter, but it matters. It absolutely matters. There's just no way that you can watch the G1 from 2013 and watch the G1 from 2021 and say that the crowd does not matter, that the clap crowd is not affecting how great matches are or how great moments are or how great the G1 is. You just can't. And like, we're not trying to say that we're not blaming anybody. Like I said, we're not saying that New Japan should just say fuck COVID and have everybody cheer, but like, you have to address it. You have to say it. And I think that's all you were saying in that tweet.
No, so yeah, my point here is it's just not a vintage tournament. I've done reviews every day. Now, there was a really bad stretch from like about night 4 to night 6 or 7 where the shows weren't bad, because I don't think there's been a show that I would call bad, but they were lifeless. There was no energy. There were no great matches. It was just a bunch of, I think people got mad at the word soulless. Okay, I won't use the word soulless, but there was just a bunch of 3.25 star matches with no life and no energy in the building. The wrestlers have no life or energy to feed off of, so it's affecting them. And the shows are just fine. And that's not what a vintage G1 is. So I it's like you can lie to yourself and say that, that I'm being too hard on it, but this is not a vintage G1. It's all there is to it. And there's been way less what you would call great matches in this tournament than there usually is through 10 nights. And, maybe my ratings are a little bit lower than some other people, but I brought stats, Rich. It's not just me, so I looked at your cage matches and your grapples. And let me tell you something. Through 10 nights of this tournament on Cage Match, there have been 2 matches in this entire tournament that to this point have a rating of 9 or higher on Cage Match. Okay, through 10 nights of the tournament, Rich. If you go back and look at vintage G1 tournaments, there's usually singular nights where there's at least 2 matches with matches that are rated 9 or higher within like the first 3 nights of the tour. Like, this is inarguable. I mean, it's not just me who's just shitting on this thing. And again, I've kind of liked it. Like, I don't even hate the tournament. All I said is it wasn't a vintage tournament.
Well, yeah, you got these weird. There was a lot of these weird replies that were trying to like act like G1s weren't fucking incredible in the past, and it's like, what are you talking about? People are like, oh, this is just as good as any of the recent ones. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, objectively, it's not. You're absolutely fucking insane. No, it is not. Like that, and that's nothing. I didn't feel like that was a hot take. Like that, I don't feel like it's a hot take to say that it's not as good as like we would come onto these shows and say we are so fucking spoiled. How incredible is this G1? And we would do that every single summer for like 7 straight years, from 2013 to 2019.
You know what else we would say? It's not going to last.
Yes, we would also say that too every single time.
Enjoy it while it lasts. And listen, I'll tell you right now, if this COVID shit is finally done by next year, and they can get their full crew in there, and they can get their full crowds in there, it'll be a vintage G1 next year because the company is too deep with talent. It'll be a great tournament again. I would bet on that. But this year it's not. And last year it wasn't. And I don't understand why that's controversial. And here's the thing I'm getting sick of hearing too. This is always the retort. Well, I think people forget that there was always bad matches in the G1. Nobody has forgotten that. What you're forgetting is there were more great matches in the G1. That's what people are forgetting.
Right. Nobody talks about or remembers the bad matches once the G1 is over. When it's December and we're compiling our match of the year, it's January compiling our match of the year, nobody gives a shit about the bad matches in G1. They're completely irrelevant.
Everyone knows there's bad matches every year. No one has forgotten that, dopey. What you are all forgetting is how great this tournament used to be on a year-in, year-out basis and a show-in, show-out basis, where you would have usually a solid match of the year contender night 1 and night 2. great matches right out of the gate. Night 1 and night 2 were always so great. You get the big upset. You'd always get 1 or 2 great matches because they would come out strong with a big matchup out of the block. Okay. And we just haven't had the great matchups this year. And I stand by my opinion that we haven't had a match of the year contender. And everybody's retort is Shingo Ishii, right? That's what everybody's saying. Shingo Ishii from night 1. I am willing to, pull up this audio when our match of the year. I think we have a pretty good feel for the match of the year poll that we do every year. Shingo Ishii isn't going to sniff match of the year.
It will not. Yeah, we usually, like, I can't say that we always get the order right. I think every single year you and I have talked before match of the year gets started. I think we've predicted the winner every single time. That this entire every single year that we've done it from 2013 until 2020, I think you and I have both kind of independently, or sort of off air, correctly predicted who would be number 1. We usually have a pretty good idea of the top 5, maybe not the order exactly, but yeah, I think we have a pretty solid idea of what's going to finish top 10, what's going to finish mostly in the top 25. A few things sneak in here and there, obviously, but
listen, it was a great match.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was not a match of the year caliber match.
No, it won't sniff it. It won't be anywhere near it.
And I went 4.5 on it.
I did too. I thought it was great, but yeah, it's not going to sniff it. Not this year.
And I do think it's the best match of the tournament, but that's not going to sniff the match of the year. I don't even know if that'll get 1 first place vote. I'd be surprised if that got 1 first place vote for match of the year. That's not going to challenge for match of the year. And vintage G1s constantly have matches that challenge for match of the year. And yes, we've pulled up the evidence.
Got them all right here. You ready?
Rich, there hasn't been hold on. Because I want to do this a certain way. Okay. You pulled up all the ones that finished top 25. But you don't even have to go that far with it. Like, G1s typically, they produce legitimate match of the year contenders, if not winners. There have been winners that come out. That's not going to happen this year based on what we've seen so far. And everyone's leaning on this Shingo Ishii match. Okay, all right, let's benefit of the doubt. Okay, maybe I'm underrating that one. Give me the next best match in this tournament. And is it even going to finish in the top 25 of a match of the year poll? Where's the match? What is it? It doesn't exist. I just gave you the stats. On Cage Match, there's been 2 matches so far. 2 that have finished 9, that are currently at 9 or higher. 2. We used to get 2 per show. And if you think I'm lying, go look it up. This is not a vintage tournament. We're not getting the cavalcade of great matches. I've got 7 notebook matches through 10 nights. That's not even 1 per show. Show me the G1 prior to 2020, prior to COVID, where we weren't averaging 1 notebook match per show. Are you kidding me? You're getting 2, 3 a night. You'd have your bad night now and then. Bad nights is where you'd only have 1. Bad nights is where only the main event would deliver.
Right.
That's a good night now. A good night now is when the main event delivers and you get some nice little 3-star matches underneath. Okay? We got to be realistic about this thing. Okay? There's been years, 2016 had 4 top 10 matches, including the number 1 match. You think you're getting that this year?
2014, we had number 1 and number 2. We're from the G1.
Number 1 and number 2. You think we're getting that this year? That's a vintage G1. What we're seeing here with Zack Sabre Jr.'s cute little grapple fuck matches that I'm throwing 3 3/4 on, this is not a vintage G1. I mean, people are acting like Zack Sabre Jr. is on this fucking incredible tear. In a decent G1, he'd be like the 7th best wrestler with the output that he's at. Are you kidding me? He's not even averaging 4 stars on grapple for his matches. And everyone's talking about how great Zack Sabre Jr. I mean, he's having a nice little tournament. Shingo Ishii through 10 nights would be like the 7th best match in a decent G1. I mean, do you agree or disagree? I mean, it'd be like the 6th or 7th best
match. I'm with you. I liked it. I loved it as well. I went 4.5 with it as well. But yeah, we're talking about like we're talking upper echelon here. We're not talking good little matches, great match. We're talking like bona fide, no doubt match of the year contenders. And there's a lot, when they happen. You know what I mean? When in 2014, when AJ Styles and Minoru Suzuki happened, the buzz around it was, holy shit, this is one of the best things we've seen this year. Nothing is going to top this year. In 2016, when we saw Naito and Kenny Omega, in that G1, Same deal. It was like, oh my God, this is so incredible. This is so obviously one of the greatest matches we've ever seen. They followed up in 2017 too. They got top 5 there with Kenny Omega and Tetsuya Naito. You know, Shinsuke and Okada doing the block final in 2014. I mean, when that was done, it was like, holy shit, that might contend with AJ Styles and Minoru Suzuki. I'm not sure which one's better, but it's going to be neck and neck. And it was a pretty close. If I remember correctly, that was a pretty close battle as well. You have those. I mean, there's like these no doubters, like absolute no doubters. And like you said, Ishii and Shingo, very, very good match. But I really.
That is not going to get one first place vote.
I can't say that it's not going to get a first place vote, but
unless someone come on now, no one's voting that match of the year. That wasn't the best match.
I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it's the best Shingo match of the year. So I think if you're a big Shingo fan, I think there's plenty of other options for you. So.
Yeah, I mean, give me a break. I mean, that's not getting a single first place vote unless someone's doing it to troll me. That's that's the only way, because that's not a match of the year caliber match. Be realistic here. Think of all the other matches that have happened this year. Shingo alone, that's like his 5th best match. Come on now. That's not getting match of the year. But, yeah, no. I mean, this doesn't have the same. Here's the other thing. There's currently one wrestler through night 10 who's averaging 4 stars per match per grapple, and that's Shingo. One wrestler. Rich, I have my notes right in front of me from all of these G1s going back to like 2015. There have been complete tournaments where I've had 11 wrestlers averaging over 4 stars.
Yeah, some of those vintage 2013, 2014s when like low down the card, like Carl Anderson was having incredible tournaments and he was like the 9th best guy in the entire thing. You know what I mean? Like
it's like I mean, so
yeah.
I don't think I'm not trying. I wasn't trying to make a hot take. I was looking. A lot of people agreed. I was surprised that almost anyone disagreed. Like, what are you watching? Like, you really think this is a vintage G1? How can you dispute that point? These shows have no energy. None. Half of these buildings, it feels like you're attending a funeral. You know, and the wrestlers feed off of that shit. They're human beings. That's pro wrestling is an interactive fucking event. They feed off the crowd. You know, and some of these shows just, they've been a whole lot of okay. Now, I'll say there hasn't been a lot of terrible stuff. There hasn't been. I think it has a high floor, a higher floor than normal, but a much, much lower ceiling. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, and the statistics bear that out. If you look at the show ratings on Cage Match for this year, okay, there's been one show in this entire tournament that's averaging over 8, and that was night 10, the one that just happened. Which, by the way, in my review, I called the best night.
Yeah, the accurate star rater, Joe Lanza there. Yeah, you called it the best night.
Everything I say lines up with the fucking consensus. Okay, so night 10 with the 8.08 rating is the only show of this entire tour over 8. Rich, you go back before the pandemic to what I'm calling vintage G1s, and you've got multiple shows over 9, and most of the shows over 8. It was like an off night if a show got a rating that was like a fucking 7 or a 6. Now they're all 7s and 6s. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a vintage tournament.
Yeah, they even for a little bit weathered the storm, because there was obviously the 13 and 14, which were just absolutely fucking, maybe 15, I forget what 15 schedule was, but 13 and 14 was when they would do all the G1 matches in one night. And those were just like, I forget what the 2013 one is, like night 5 or night 6 or something like that. That's just like one of the greatest wrestling shows you've ever seen in your life. It is right up there in the upper echelon of like great wrestling shows. And there's like 7 4-star matches on that. It's just fucking ridiculous. And then when they did the split blocks, like we kind of worried, that's the end of those shows, and they weathered that storm and they kept it up, and they the shows then would be, the undercards would kind of stink, but then once the show got going, once the blocks things got going, you maybe have your one Yano match, your one Bad Luck Fale match, your one Tama Tonga match or whatever, but then pretty much everything else was just like exceptionally good wrestling after that. It's just it's okay to say that it's not what's happening this year. It's okay. Like, it's fine. It's good. I've enjoyed the G1. I've really, really enjoyed it so far. I came in with very low expectations, but I've enjoyed it so far. I think it's fine. I'm also skipping all the bad wrestlers. I'm not watching. You're watching everything, which I'm sure is a lot harder. I'm just not watching Yano and Yujiro and some of those guys, and that makes it a little bit easier. But I think it's fine. But it's okay to just say that it's not 2017, and that's okay to say that it's not 2017. But it's not an affront. It doesn't mean that I don't know why people just get so bothered about that now. It's okay to say that. G1s were incredible in the past. It wasn't going to last. It might come back. Hopefully it comes back.
And it wasn't going to meet that standard with clap crowds.
No, it was never going to.
And a field that looks like this one. So again, I don't know why this is controversial. You know, and I don't know. I mean, cage match pretty much backs me up with the show ratings. The fact that there's only been 2 matches rated 9 or higher. When you can look it up. I'm not going to go through them all, but you could look it up. You go to those old G1s. There were individual shows that had 2 or 3 matches rated 9 or higher, peppered throughout the whole tournament. You get 10 or 11 by the time the thing was done. We're not getting that this year. And most of the big matches are behind us. And Naito's out. And Naito's not going to wrestle another match. And most of the big matches big matchups are behind. I'm sure the final will be good. You know, I'm sure the block final will have some good matches. I mean, maybe look at those matchups too, though. I mean, you know, it's like some of those matchups. We talked about it when we previewed the tournament. Like the final nights are a little weird. Like it's not like the big guns versus the big guns in every instance. And
there's a lot of really good wrestlers that have probably wrestled their last great match. We'll talk about in a bit. Like there's some guys where you're like, oh, what's up? Or like, oh man, he's got some real duds here for the next 4 shows or whatever. I was kind of surprised when I did the remaining opponents. There's a few dudes that you're like, oh, that's kind of it for them this year. Shit.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know why that tweet was controversial at all to anyone. I think the word soulless is what bothered a lot of people, but. And maybe that was strong verbiage, but I mean, there was a string of 4 or 5 shows in a row where there was just no energy whatsoever. And I was struggling to do the audio. I mean, I'm looking for angles. I'm looking for ways to be interesting. And it's hard to be interesting when nothing on the show is interesting. You know what I mean? And it's like when the energy when the energy is just, there's no energy in the buildings. There's no energy in the work. Okay. We're not getting on a night in, night out basis that typical G1 energy from the wrestlers. And I know it's hard for them because they don't have the crowds. Night 10, Night 10 felt like a G1 show. And a lot of these other shows have not felt like G1 shows. They have just felt like good little shows with some decent little matches, but you didn't have that G1 punch. You didn't have that G1 energy. You didn't have that G1 effort. Night 10 had it. Night 10 really has been the only night of this entire tour that felt like a vintage G1 show. And that's with me saying that I don't think there's been a bad show. There's been a lot of average shows. There's been a couple pretty good shows. And then Night 10 felt like a vintage G1 show. And if you want to talk about energy and just a big match feel, we're going to talk about the N1 later. That's what I'm talking about. You go watch those N1 semifinals and the N1 final, and that is what we're lacking in the G1 this year. That kind of feel, that kind of energy, that kind of work. We haven't had it yet. And typically we do. Every night. That's all I'm saying. Is it a decent little tournament? Sure. But I mean, you know, I don't know why it's so offensive to say, you know, and Rich, you know, he dug up all the top 25 finishers in the match of the year poll from 2013 to 2019. But you just look at the top 10s. I mean, and that tells a story.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah, just quick, do it real quickly here, just to give me an idea of how great G1s used to be and how you can not even fairly compare it to this year or even last year as well. So 2013, first year we did our match of the year poll. Number 4 was Shibata and Ishii. Number 5 was Nakamura and Kota Ibushi. This is the results from the Voices of Wrestling match of the year poll, by the way, of which Joe and I only have one. I have a vote, Joe has a vote. So it's not like, oh, well, of course you guys think, no. This is a lot of people voting on these things, not just us, if you're not familiar with their match of the year. Number 6, Ishii and Tanahashi, and then number 24, Okada versus Tanahashi. But really, top 10 is the best way to look at it. So three top 10s.
3 top 10s and another one in the top 25. And these aren't all finals. These are random matches from random nights. It's not like these are just, final matches. 2014, 3 top 10s.
Yeah.
4 top 25.
Yeah, number 1, AJ Styles, Minoru Suzuki. Number 2, Shinsuke Nakamura, Okada. Number 10, Shibata versus Hanma. And then number 18 was Okada and Minoru Suzuki. So
the winner and the number 2.
Yeah.
And a third match in the top. You're not getting that this year.
2015, a little bit of a down year. Only 4. Number 4 here, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Shinsuke Nakamura. That's 4th. 3 total. AJ Styles and Hiroshi Tanahashi was 16th. and Okada versus Nakamura was 21st. So a down year in 2015 for the G1.
2016, 4 top 10.
Yeah, then they got it back on track here in 2016.
40,
Naito and Omega.
40% of the top 10 were G1
It was
matches.
G1 matches.
Now, hold on now. Seriously, do you think you're getting that this year?
No, God, no.
So why is it unfair to say this isn't a vintage year?
Yeah, exactly. Naito and Omega, number 1. Okada and Ishii, number 5. Tanahashi and Okada, number 9. Number 10, Omega versus Goto. I mean, come on. That's a vintage G1. 2017, number 4, Kenny Omega, Tetsuya Naito. Number 6, Kenny Omega, Okada. Number 13, Naito and Ibushi. Number 14, Okada, Minoru Suzuki. Number 17, Tanahashi and Tetsuya Naito. So that's 5 in the top 20. Yeah. And 6 in the top 20. At 22, Okada versus Michael Elgin, just outside of the top 20.
In 2018, 5 in the top 25.
3 in the top 10.
3 in the top 10 and numbers 3 and number 4. 2019, 6 in the top 25 and 3 in the top 10. And last year I don't think was a vintage year, so nobody cares about 2020.
Highest finisher last year, 12. Okada and Shingo.
And that's what this year's going to be. That's like where fucking Shingo Ishii is going to finish. Like
absolutely, because if you remember when Okada Shingo happened, people were like, "Oh, here we go, G1, it's back," and then it was kind of it. You know what I mean? Ibushi Suzuki got 15th, and then Naito versus Tanahashi got top 20, so they got 3 in the top 20. But yeah, I mean, it was and I think this year's going to be a lot tougher of a field with AEW with full crowds, a lot of other places with full crowds, with Noah, having some good stuff that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of competition this year.
Can we do a little exercise? Can you pull up Grapple real quick?
I can pull up Grapple, yes.
Can we compare Zack Sabre Jr.'s Grapple ratings to my ratings, and so I can prove that I'm not crazy?
All right, let's do that. So you want me to go night by night on Zack Sabre Jr. matches?
Now, I concede I'm probably going to be a little lower.
Yeah, because I think he's had a pretty good tournament. But
I do too. Okay.
Why do you hate? But tell me why you hate Zack Sabre Jr. and think he sucks.
Here's the thing. I think he's been the second best wrestler in the tournament behind Shingo. But what I don't think is that he's having like this classic G1. Because I think if this were a vintage G1, he'd be like the 7th best guy in the tournament. That's my point. But I do think I've enjoyed every one of his matches, every one of them. And I think he's been only behind Shingo. And if you think he's been better than Shingo, I'm not going to fucking die on the hill. All right, you got Grapple pulled up?
Yeah, I do. I also wanted to make a quick note here that Dynamite just ended and we doubled our viewership. So, you know what I mean? Like when we're talking about remember when there was times where we would record on a Wednesday and it would stay pretty level and half the chat room would be watching Dynamite and half the chat room would be listening to us. No, people were just like, fuck Voices of Wrestling. We're watching fucking Dynamite. Now it's over. We've doubled our viewership in minutes. So wrestling, when it's good, when wrestling is good, people watch it. It's very strange.
No spoilers in the chat room, you geeks. No spoilers. Sean Cedar, I'll kick you out again.
Oh, wow. You kicked him out?
I kicked him out before because he's in there. I put no spoilers, and the guy's in there fucking jumping in with spoilers.
Sean.
All right, so
nice boy. No, we apologize, Sean. But
all right, night 1 was Naito versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Naito versus Zack Sabre Jr. Grapple 4.18.
I have 3 3/4. That's like a little more than a quarter-star difference.
Yep. Okay.
You think I'm off the reservation for that?
I liked it a little bit more than you. I went 4 1/4, so I liked it a lot. But I'm more in line with what Grapple had. I think you're a little low on that, but that's not totally unrealistic.
You were a little above Grapple. I was a little below Grapple.
Yeah.
All right. Night 3. Night 3. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shingo.
Yep. That is currently on Grapple 4.42.
I went 4 stars on Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shingo, so no book out of me. So,
yep, I went 4 1/4 on that one too. So Grapple's a little higher than both you and I on that. So
night 5, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ibushi.
I love this match. So I went 4.5. It's probably my favorite match of the G1 so far. You Grapple 4.08.
Okay, this is the first one where I'm way off. I went 3 1/4. I didn't think it was.
You're nuts. You're nuts.
I didn't like it that much. I thought Ibushi, but it wasn't Zach. I think Ibushi's having a bad tournament. But that'll be our next topic, I guess. Night 7. So there's one where I'm out of my mind. So night 7.
Yeah, you're right. Well, actually, you know what? Honestly, Kota, you're out of your mind, but like I am way higher than I'm
closer than you.
Honestly, I think you're right, aren't you? Because I'm 0.5 higher than Grapple. I think
No, I had
We're
3
both
and a
equally.
quarter.
Yeah, we're both. I'm way higher than they are. You are way lower than they are. So you're kind of we're both in the middle.
We're
there,
both
but
we're both we're both crazy.
we're both
All
outliers and
right,
crazy.
so
But that's fine. Night 7, Grapple. This is great. Okan versus Zack Sabre Jr. Average on Grapple 3.81 right now.
I had 3.5. So
Yeah, I was actually the same on that. So you and I are exactly the same there. We're
pretty
pretty
much on the number. It's right
yeah,
on it. Right,
yeah.
a little bit less than the number, like quarter star under the number. All right, so then we have night 9 was Ishii.
Yep, Ishii and Zack Sabre Jr. Grapple right now 4.11.
I had 3 3/4.
Okay, yeah, I'm 4. So we're both kind of right in the line there. So yep.
So I had one match where I was ridiculously low versus the consensus with Zach.
And then otherwise just a little low on the
Little
others,
low.
but not like dramatically lower.
But I knew that. I knew I was a little low. But I do think for me he's been the second best wrestler in the tournament. Do you think he's having a classic G1?
I don't think he's having a classic G1. I think he's having a good G1, and he's telling a lot of cool stories throughout the G1. But like, no, we're like classic G1s are yeah, no, like that's again, like if you just started watching 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and I don't mean to be gatekeepy and stuff like that, then like, yeah, okay, maybe this is quote unquote a classic G1. But man, go watch some of those old G1s if you think this is a classic G1.
See, when people say that, I'm picturing like vintage Ishii having 4
right,
names on that.
Ishii would go out there fucking Hanma. Remember there was that one Hanma year, maybe 2014, where he just went out there and every single night was just like, he did it again. This motherfucker did it again. What a great match. Like,
Mike Elgin has had better
Yes, the 2016 I want to say was the one where he had just an incredible
Hiroki
G1.
Goto has had better G1s than this.
When we're talking classic G1 runs, you're talking Shibata that one. You're talking Ishii. You're talking Hanma. You're talking. I mean, Tanahashi would go out there every single night and have just.
And we haven't even mentioned Okada and Omega.
right. Yeah. Right. Those guys were also in G1s.
And where they were years where they just crushed it every night.
Remember the Marufuji G1? It was so good.
Where these guys would just crush it every night, and the only time they wouldn't is when they took the night off versus Yano.
Yeah, or Fale. They would have a Fale match to take the night off.
Yeah, and I mean, it's I don't put the.
Oh, it's been good. Like I think he's had a very, very good G1. I'm right with you. I think he's probably had the second best G1. But no, when we're talking we mean like just going out there and just. I'd say my top 3 are fucking Satoshi Kojima, Shingo Takagi. I wish it was Satoshi Kojima. So Shingo Takagi, Zack Sabre Jr., and he's gotten a lot of shit talked about him. But Hiroki Goto, I think, is having a very fun tournament.
I do too. I think he's working his ass off.
Yeah, I don't know where. I think Goto's had great. So those are my top 3 right now. Is those guys?
I think Shingo's my top guy. I've got 7 notebook matches. He's in 3 of them.
Yeah.
So at the Ishii match, obviously, is the best match of the tournament. The Zack Sabre Jr. match we just talked about, I went for, and then the Ibushi match, which was Ibushi's best match, I thought, was against Shingo from night 9. I'd probably go Zack second. And then I don't know who I would go third. I mean, Okada.
He's had a very good tournament. Okada's probably, if you ask me, it's my top 5. He's probably in that top 5 for sure.
Yeah, because he had the Tanahashi match, and I thought the Sonata match, which, you never know how those matches are going to go, and I thought it went well. I thought the Yoshihashi match was.
I was going to say, if my top 5, if you give me my 5, I think I might have Yoshihashi in that top 5, which means it probably means it's not a vintage G1 for the record. But like, I think he's been fine. He's had a pretty fun tournament. But like again, no, like that's not a vintage G1 if Yoshihashi is in my top 5. Like it's just not.
We're haggling like we don't. Our first 2 were both easy. Neither one of us have like a clear number 3, and it's not because eight more guys have been awesome. It's because we're looking for someone else that was awesome. Doesn't this speak to our point? Like we're trying to find a third guy who's been awesome. What G1 between 2013 and 2019 were you struggling to find a third guy who was awesome? It just didn't happen. So I hate to keep belaboring the point, but I mean that's kind of where we're at with this thing. Who else did you want to talk about specifically? I know we're not going to talk about everybody, but did you want to talk about Goto or someone else? Who do you want to talk about? Okay, am I gone or is Rich gone? Can somebody in the chat room help me out here? Can you hear me or can you hear Rich or can you hear nobody? Because I cannot hear Rich. So if Rich is there, he is talking to himself. I could hear something in the background, so I think Rich just walked away. So while Rich is going to the bathroom or whatever it is he's doing, I think Jeff Cobb has been solid in the tournament. I think that Goto has been solid in the tournament. Rich, whenever you're there, just let me know.
I'm
you're
here.
back.
Yes, I'm
All right.
back.
So what I said was, when you walked away, was I think what exemplifies our point here is that both of us came up with our top 2 guys pretty easily, but we both kind of are struggling to come up with the third best guy in the tournament. And not because 8 other guys have all been awesome. It's because we're looking for one other guy who might have been awesome. And that's never been a problem in years past. In years past, you're kind of...
It was embarrassment of riches. Like I said, that 2013, I'll always remember that, like, Hiroshi Tenzan had a great tournament. He was like the 8th best guy in the entire thing. Like, that's...
Yeah, so...
that's what we're talking about.
So did you have anyone else? So then what I said was, did you have anyone else that you wanted to talk about specifically for good or bad reasons? Because I know we're not going to talk. Well, do you want to talk about everyone?
Let's do it. I think we can quickly do it. We touched on a few of the guys, so I think we can pretty quickly do it. So, we'll go to the A block here. Big tie at the top of the A block. A classic Gato G1 booking here with the 4. So that is vintage with many people still up for grabs on the final night here. But you have Zack Sabre Jr. at 8, Okan at 8, Kenta at 8, Ibushi at 8. So we'll start with Zack Sabre Jr. here.
Okay, but and I want to throw this in there quickly. The thing about that is Zack Sabre Jr. has one more match in the bag, so he's technically ahead of all these guys because the other 3 are 4-2 and he's 4-1. So he has an extra match of which he can score some points.
Right.
So that's important to note. So anyway, Zack Sabre Jr. I think we talked about. I think we both agree he's having a really good tournament.
Absolutely. So his remaining opponents, Kenta, Tangaloa, Yujiro Takahashi, and Toru Yano, which bodes well for him. I think this is, Kenta's obviously the one that could be an interesting case there, but he's probably going to be, I think it's almost a lock that he's going to beat Yujiro Takahashi. Yano, who knows? Like maybe that's a way that they get out of that. But I don't know.
The problem is he's ahead of everyone, and he has the tiebreakers over Ibushi, Great Okan, like a lot of the big names.
He might just be winning the A block. You know what I mean? Like he might just be winning it. So
and Shingo, he's got the tiebreaker over Shingo, Okan, and Ibushi. He still has the Kenta match, and obviously Yano could beat anyone. But yeah, the thing is he owns so many tiebreakers and has the extra match in hand that if they're going to make this thing interesting, he's going to have to drop a couple more. Who's his opponent on the final night?
His opponent on the final night is going to be Tangaloa, which is, man, that's a tough, weird loss to take. Yeah, especially when the whole story of the tournament is how he's like a master tactician and he's working everybody over and he's just doing an incredible job. But they might be forced to get cute there. I don't know. That's going to be tough.
Well, Rich Craich, who are the tag team champions?
Yeah, I know.
So, do you see where I'm going with this?
I do. Yeah.
Could they have Zack Sabre Jr. lose to Tangaloa to set up?
Oh, certainly. Oh, they for sure can. I just think it's a really bad way to end the story. The story has been how he's just methodically just breaking these guys down and just outworking everybody and doing all this sort of stuff. So they probably, they have to, I think you gotta, if you're going to have Zack Sabre Jr. just lose to Tangaloa, given how the tournament's gone for him, and I don't know if I'm crazy for saying this, but like, I feel like you need to do something where Zack Sabre Jr. is at some disadvantage going into that match. You know what I mean? He's going to be against Yano the night prior to that, so I don't know if you could have some weird injury angle or something like that, or his leg isn't working right, or his arm is fucked up or something, because I think you can't have a perfectly healthy Zack Sabre Jr. go out there and lose to Tangaloa to eliminate him from the G1, right? Not with the story they've told so far.
He beat all the big guns already.
That's what I mean. It'd be such a stupid story to have him just like outwork all the big guns and then fucking just lose to Tangaloa, unless I guess you can get Nefarious and Tama Tonga can come in, you can do some run-in, some bullshit like that if you really want to, but that's a shitty way to end it. I just don't know if there's a good way to end this.
Here's the problem. Because there's 3 Wrestle Kingdom shows.
This all doesn't matter. Yeah, why are we arguing about this? It doesn't matter.
They've kind of ruined the concept of because anyone can win.
Right,
this.
we're trying to act like there's one main eventer that's going to main event Wrestle Kingdom and sell tickets to the Tokyo Dome, and that's just not the case anymore. So
these things are impossible to even attempt.
He could just win it. He could just easily win it too. Okay.
Anyone can win it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have presumably 3 title matches, at least 2, at minimum, there's going to be 2 title matches and a dumb little mini tournament again, maybe 3. And you have these briefcase defenses. So it's like anyone can win the G1 now. The multiple Wrestle Kingdom shows have really taken some of the juice out of it.
Right, because we used to spend all this time saying, okay, well, what about this guy? And then they're like, there's no way they're going to main event Wrestle Kingdom with, this guy, so just eliminate him. Like, they need to sell tickets. They're not going to sell tickets with that guy. So, yeah.
So I get it. You want to run multiple Dome shows. You want to run multiple Wrestle Kingdoms. You want to make as much money as possible.
Sure, absolutely.
And look, in a normal year, you're going to sell all your tickets for the G1 regardless. So I get it. I understand it, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't make it less interesting. It is less interesting now. It just is. I mean, or you could argue it's more interesting because it's more wide open. I guess you could argue it from that standpoint.
Yeah, I could see people saying that. I like stakes. I like knowing that this dude's the man. You know what I mean? This guy right now won this tournament, and he's going to Wrestle Kingdom, and he's going. And they would always do the dopey brief. They would do some of the dopey briefcase stuff, but usually it was a formality or whatever. Everybody kind of knew that at the end of the day, Okada wasn't going to lose the briefcase to Goto in the build up to Wrestle Kingdom or whatever. But like, yeah, I like knowing that at the end of that tournament, that dude held up the trophy, and that was the dude that was going to main event Wrestle Kingdom against the champion, and that was cool.
So Okan has 8 points. He started off 4-0, and he's lost 2 in a row. You kind of figured he was going to go on kind of a losing run once he started 4-0. I think he's had an interesting tournament. I find his work very interesting and different than everybody else on the roster. And I thought the match with Zack Sabre Jr. was a lot of fun and proved that Okan can do something a little different. I loved how it was like an MMA style tap in that match. Where Zach just kind of caught him and he tapped quickly like it was a real tap, not a pro wrestling tap where they, let me see how long I could fight this. No, he got caught in the armbar and he fucking tapped immediately, which was cool.
And it's a cool story in a tournament as well. It's smart because Okan's a smart wrestler. I mean, that is one thing that you can absolutely say about Great Okan. He's a very, very smart wrestler, and he is smart to know that there's a purpose and a reason to do the quick tap out in like a tournament setting of saying, hey, look, if this was the G1 final, okay, maybe I can sit in this armbar a little bit, try to get out. But he's like, you know what? Fuck it. There's no point in working. You know what? I don't want my arm to get hurt. I got a bunch more matches to go. Forget it. I'll tap out. The better man won today. That's fine. Move on. And that's a smart wrestling move by him. So he's definitely a thinking man's wrestler, and I appreciate that.
So I don't think Ibushi has had a great tournament. He started off 0-2, so you knew he was going to make the big comebacks. Now he's 4-2. He's got the 8 points. He might be the one who catches and passes Zach as he tries to win his 3rd in a row. I don't think he's been great here. I've been let down by most of his performances. I don't think his matches have been bad. Again, I don't think there's been many bad matches in the tournament.
No. He's just been underwhelming, I think is probably the best way to say it.
He's been underwhelming for sure.
You have a certain idea of what a Kota Ibushi match is going to be. And like last year's Kota Ibushi Tomohiro Ishii match was probably my favorite match of the entire G1. I love that match, and I was so excited to see him this year. And I watched it, and I was just like, good, it's fine, And like, yeah, it's not bad. It's just, there's such high standards for Kota Ibushi, and he's just not meeting those right now. And it's clear that I don't know if that's the story is that he's unhealthy or not quite healthy, or he's truly like kind of getting his win back or whatever. It's probably a little bit of both, a little bit A, a little bit of B. But I think he's had a very underwhelming tournament, so I don't think that's too hot of a take.
So you look at that too, like on top of all the people missing, on top of Naito wrestling one match, and then Kota Ibushi underwhelming. I mean, these are all factors as to why this hasn't been, a classic G1. But the thing, if he's going to pass Sabre, remember, he lost head to head. So technically he's 2 points behind, and Sabre has the match in hand, the extra match to wrestle. So it's almost like a 4-point lead. If you want to look at it.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Because, Ibushi's got Okan, Kenta, and Tangaloa left. Those are easily, all wins. I could, if you want to, for Kota Ibushi, but yeah.
He could beat anybody. But he has to finish with more points than Sabre. And that's where it gets tricky. So Sabre has to finish with 3 losses. So with his 4 matches left, he's got to lose 2 of them. So do you see 2 losses in there for Sabre?
And that's the problem with Sabre. I don't. I see the Kenta is a very real possibility, and I guess Yano would be a possibility. But like truly, like what do I see as losses? I see
Those
Kenta. Yeah, that's it. And then I guess the Tangaloa, like you said, but I don't love that either.
I think Tangaloa's beating him and challenging for those titles.
I'm sure you're right. I know you're right. It's just
So then Kenta, of course, we talked about him a little bit. I think he's been Kenta. I don't have a hot take on
Kenta is, and I think we realized this a couple years ago. We realized this last year, and I realized it during this tournament too. I'm just like, I'm starting to enjoy Kenta again, Because that's just, I know it's not Kenta, but it's Kenta. You know what I mean? It's not the Kenta, but it's a Kenta. And it's fine.
Your expectations are realistic now.
Yeah, I'm just like, hey, Kenta, he is what Kenta is now, and it's fine. Yeah. And I enjoy it, and I like it. I'm no longer thinking, man, this isn't the Kenta. You know what I mean? This isn't one of the greatest of all time Kenta. It's Kenta, and it's fine. And he's been perfectly fine this tournament.
He's physically shot, and he's doing other things to make his matches interesting.
Yeah, and he's great at all that stuff, too. He's really good at so much of the other stuff. So, yeah, he's perfectly fine.
So Shingo has 6 points, and he's 3-2, which I just can't understand how they're booking the guy. I figured he'd be more in the mix, and that doesn't mean he can't run off a bunch of wins in a row now. But again, he lost to Sabre, and he's already 2 points behind, and he has to make up the extra 2 points. This fucking guy's done, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, he's got Okan, Tangaloa, Yujiro, and Yano, so he can probably win all of those. But
he's the champ; he should be able to beat
right. Like, I agree. I thought this is the year where they were just going to say, you know what, fuck it, because we have the multiple domes, we have all this sort of stuff. He's our champion. Let's just have him win. Like, he could have very easily just won this entire thing, and he's fucking taking pitfalls and losing all over the place. I'm like, oh, okay, I was surprised. I was very surprised by a few of the losses he took. And not necessarily... The Sabre one was... I think that's a good way to build up a future match between those two guys, but I think it'll be pretty good. To me, that's... And again, this is a big reason why I don't want Sabre losing to Tangaloa. I mean, he just beat Shingo Takagi, and like, he took him to the absolute limit and beat the champion in 27 minutes. Like, I don't want that guy losing to fucking Tangaloa.
So, I mean, they're going to find a way to have Zack, Shingo, and Ibushi in the mix in the final.
Right. I think they'll all get to 12, right? And then...
And whoever's going to win.
Zack's got to lose so much, though. Who's he lose? I guess he's losing to Yano for sure.
Yeah, but they do. Like, in the heat of the moment, you don't think they can do it, but then they do it, and they just start losing all their matches. Remember Moxley that one year was like 5-0 or something?
Yeah. They just do it. You just lose. You just keep losing. Yeah.
And you just lose. Yano's been Yano. Do we need to spend any time on him?
No, move on.
Ishii, I don't think he's been vintage Ishii, but I think he's shown up in some spots. Like, obviously the Shingo match was great, and the what's the other Ishii match?
I like the Kenta Ishii match a lot.
Yeah,
it wasn't spectacular. It's not what, again, you had to temper your expectations.
Yeah,
you can't think, oh my god, it's Kenta and Ishii. You got to think, yeah, it's Kenta and Ishii. That's cool.
All you need to know about Ishii is we're 10 nights in, and I have him in my notebook once.
That is not vintage G1. That is what I will tell you. That dude would clean up in match of the year and clean up in overall ratings at the end of the G1. So,
and I mean, we don't have time to do it, but I'm sure I line up with Grapple and Cage match because he hasn't had. Where are the other great matches? He's had the one. I mean, he hasn't had another great match.
Joe, here's a great way to talk about if it's a vintage G1 versus a not vintage G1. You used to not let people talk about Wrestler of the Year until the G1 was over.
That's right.
Remember that?
Yep.
People would say, it's July. Who's your... And you would say, no, we're not doing it until after the G1. Because it'll be obvious who the Wrestler of the Year is after the G1.
After the G1, someone becomes obvious.
Right. You would say that every year. And you would not even let people address the idea of who was Wrestler of the Year because you said the G1 has not happened yet. Who has increased the Wrestler of the Year resume in the G1 this year?
I guess Shingo has a little. No one else has.
No.
Nobody else has.
So that's another great example of it. Yeah, you would just not even let the discussion happen.
But Shingo's been the best guy. I think in a vintage year, he'd be like the 5th or 6th best guy with the year he's having.
I agree.
Because he's not having like some blowaway G1. See, right now at this point in the tournament, we're normally talking about someone who's having this epic. We're fucking
right. How can he keep this up? Is he going to do it against all these guys? What's he going to do? He's got 3 more matches. Can they all be great? Yeah.
Right. So Tangaloa, he's disappointed me a little. I thought he'd be better.
Yeah, he's kind of I think he stinks again. I don't know what happened, but he's not good again. So
I mean, I don't think he's been bad. It sounds like you're more down on him than I am. Harrison Bader gets hit by another pitch.
No way.
Yeah.
Fuck this team. Jesus Christ. I can't do it.
It's 1-1, by the way.
They'll win. Harrison Bader's going to hit a walk-off fucking double or some shit. Yeah, no.
Sosa will come off the bench and hit a fucking...
no, it's going to be some crappy white guy that I've never heard of that, you know. He's the endless supply of 28-year-old white guys that you've never heard of. You follow baseball, you follow prospects, you've never heard of this 28-year-old white guy that's on the fucking Cardinals.
And here comes Cosmo to beat the Nats. That's
right. If he cosmic, a David Freeze is like the greatest player on earth for an entire postseason.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He has 19 home runs in a month. You know what I mean?
It's the devil magic, man.
Fuck Christ.
Yeah. Remember Alan Craig?
Yes, I do remember Alan Craig.
Had this incredible year where he was putting up like VOW numbers, and then they traded him to Boston, and he was out of the league within a year.
Yeah, it was completely done. It's some magic there. I don't know what it is, but I hate it. I hate it so much.
Huge has 4 points. He's 2-2, or 2-3 rather. Look, he upset Ibushi on night one and debuted a new finisher. So it's the big juice that he's calling it, the elevated DDT. And look, I think Yujiro's been fine. I think by Yujiro standards, he's probably over delivered to some extent. Again, there hasn't been a lot of bad matches in the tournament. So, the floor has been, I have a lot of like 2 3/4 in my fucking, in my notes, which, I mean, again, you didn't use that 2 3/4 in these things. And then Naito only wrestled one match and it was good. So I don't know. I don't really have anything to say about Naito other than that was a rough break. Anything else to say about any of these guys in the?
I don't. Yeah. Obviously, big deal for Naito going out. And like you said, another thing that probably hurts a lot of this G1 is you're losing all of Naito's output.
When it was already a depleted field. I mean, it was, and then you lose that guy. So Cobb and Okada are tied at 5-0. I am on team. Let them be undefeated for the final match.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why would you? And I really hope they do that. I really hope. I mean, because you look at the guys left for Cobb, and all these are very. I mean, you have Evil, Sonata, and Tanahashi. He should beat Evil. Don't get cute. Just have him beat Evil. I know they're going to. I'm hoping. I'm hoping he's listening, but I know. We're going to talk about it in a bit. They're going to get cute, and Evil's going to beat him. But, like, it's so easy to just have Cobb beat Evil, beat Sonata. Beating Tanahashi would be a huge thing, too. You know what I mean? And it gets, okay, Jeff Cobb is undefeated. He's a member of the United Empire. He's kind of the conduit for Will Ospreay at this point. And he goes to the final night, and he's against Okada. And then, yeah, he can lose to Okada. Whatever you want to do with that, you can do. But, like, yeah, I think it's such an easy story and such a good story to tell that they're definitely going to have him lose to Evil. So I don't even know why I'm talking about it anymore.
The bottom line is they're not going to go into the final night of the block with only 2 guys alive and they're wrestling each other.
Exactly. Right.
And
they should. They won't.
Yeah, because if Cobb beats Evil, then both Cobb and Okada have wins over Evil, and Evil has 2 more losses.
Good. Good.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that.
I know.
So you know Evil's going to beat Cobb. And I've heard someone laid out a scenario that I thought was terrifying because it could happen, where Evil wins on the final night, and then Cobb and Okada draw to send Evil through. That's plausible too. The only reason
they're laying in the middle of the ring, ding, 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 and then Evil's just peering through the curtain.
Yeah.
Dick Togo's just grabbing his chest, laughing. Oh God.
Or
there's worse. There's something worse.
Yeah. Or House of Torture influences the draws. Like they knock out the ref.
They turn the lights out. They turn the lights out and beat up both guys, and the lights come back on, and both guys are down.
I mean, but
it's not unrealistic. This G1 has had a match end via lights out, so it's not unrealistic, Joe.
So I mean, I think they're going to keep Evil alive and alive. Evil could win the block. I mean, he could definitely win the block. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I think Cobb has been really good in the tournament.
Oh, he's been great. Yeah, Cobb's great.
He hasn't had a lot of chances to be like in the main event. So, he's working the spot where you get 11 minutes a lot of the time. But he's really been good, and I think Okada's been really good. I mean, gun to my head, he's probably been the 3rd best guy for me. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think, Cobb beat Okada before the tournament. It'd be a bold move to have him beat Okada again, or even have a draw with him, because that's really, okay, now you're pushing him as a top guy if he's beating Okada twice in a row, or if Okada just can't beat this guy. So I don't know if they have the balls to do that with Cobb. I feel like it's just going to be what we said in the beginning. Evil will win earlier in the night, and then because Cobb beat Okada last time, Okada beats Cobb in the main event to advance. I think, let's not overthink this. I think that's what they're going to do. Tanahashi's got the 6 points. He's been good. I mean, he's Tanahashi. He's good. So, the Okada match, it was classic Tanahashi Okada match. Not one of their best, but I don't think it was one of their worst either. Lower middle. I'd put it lower middle out of their matches. I thought it was better than the match they had in Dallas, which was just playing the hits. This one was a little better than that. But overall, I think Tanahashi's been okay. Would you agree or disagree?
I would agree. And I thought Okada Tanahashi was pretty good, but it felt more like you said, like a tribute to the great match that those guys had, as opposed to like, again, a classic of vintage, Tanahashi Okada. It was fine. It was perfectly okay. If it's the final one, like whatever, like I don't know.
Worse, but they've had mostly better.
Yeah, for sure. There's a good chance that 90% of the other matches they've had have been better than this one, and that's fine. They've had incredible matches, so that's okay.
Bottom third. Third.
It definitely bottom third. But
I went 4.25. I thought it was,
Yeah, it was just fine. It was just there. There was parts that I really liked, but like you said, it was kind of playing the hits.
I like it a little more new. I thought it was a very good match. I did go 4.25 on it, and I did think it was better than the Dallas match. But I don't think it was in the upper echelon of their matches.
No. But otherwise, Tanahashi's been fine, and there's just a certain level that Tanahashi is right now. I think he can really go in the biggest moments and the biggest spots, and I don't think he's really doing that in G1s anymore, and that's fine. Like I think he's been mostly okay. I can't say that I'm like salivating over any of his future matches. Like it's not like I cannot wait to see him against Jeff Cobb, but he's been fine. He's not bad, but he's just fine.
Yeah. I thought the Sonata match, Sonata really ruined that. He was so sloppy. I don't know if you watched Sonata.
I did. That was weird. That was strange.
But
Because he's been mostly... I thought Sonata has been mostly okay this tournament, but I don't know what the hell got into him on that night. He was just brutal.
Yeah, I thought the Tanahashi Tama Tonga finish was clever. In that match, I doubt you watched that.
That I did not see. I'll be honest, I've skipped all of Tama Tonga's G1 output. So
Taichi is next. I think... I think I cut you off.
No, you're good. I'm done. You talked about Evil at length. Enough. Are we done with Evil? We can move on.
Oh, we blew right over Evil.
As we should, but that's fine.
It hasn't been as pronounced with the bullshit as I thought it was going to be, because I think they're separating the crews for the COVID, but there's still tons of bullshit. And like the lights out finish.
Yeah, it sucks. It's garbage. It's trash.
Was a creative way to get around it, but it's, it's been what Evil is what we thought he was. So, I don't have much more to say. Taichi, I think, has been working his fucking ass off. Every time I watch this guy, he's out there killing himself. And I think he's a guy who's probably been the most underrated wrestler in the tournament for me. How much Taichi have you watched?
I've watched a decent amount. The problem is there's a lot of upcoming Taichi matches that I'm probably going to watch more, because I've been, especially in the B block, I've been skipping a lot of the dead weight, a lot of the Evils and Tamatongas and those sort of things, and some of the Chase Owens matches too. No offense to Chase Owens there, but so I've missed some of the big Taichi matches, but I'm absolutely going to obviously watch Okada and Tanahashi moving forward with him. But which one did I see of Taichi that I really liked?
Well, the one I liked the best was Goto.
That was it. Yep, Taichi and Goto. It's a big reason why Goto is on the top of my list too, of guys that I like. That was exactly it. I thought that was really, really good stuff.
Easy notebook.
Yeah.
That was a great match. We talked about Sonata already. He's got 4 points. And then everyone else is eliminated. Did you know that? They're all out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're all done.
Because Cobb and Okada are off to such a great start, and they've beaten all these guys already. Yoshihashi, like you said, he's working hard, and I think he's been probably one of the upper half at least, right?
Yeah, at least in the match, even in the matches, like I love the Okada match. The story was just that Okada was just like, you fucking suck. Like, you're garbage. And they just beat his ass. And Yoshihashi did a great job of it. Getting his ass kicked. It was awesome.
If that match didn't have the second Yoshihashi comeback, I would have loved it. But I thought it was too long.
I do agree. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if Yoshihashi just got his ass kicked. You know what I mean? Had made a little comeback, and then Okada just said, all right, we're done here. Put him away. And like, people would see that as kind of a geek thing or whatever, but like, I think it might be a good role for Yoshihashi, this guy that just gets his ass kicked. Yeah, he is a geek. Right.
The first comeback was fine. I didn't think he needed a second comeback.
I agree. I'm with you.
The problem was it was slotted as a main event, so you have to get your 25 minutes.
Right.
And I mean, you don't have to, but you know that they're going to do that, is what I mean by that. But I thought once Okada cut off the first comeback, I thought that was going to be the finish, and I was going to be like, this match fucking ruled. The second comeback I was like, all right, we need to get this over with, because Okada should not be struggling this much to put this guy away. He should have beat him after the first comeback. Tama Tonga, I don't think he's had any standout matches, but again, I think he's probably been a little better than I expected him to be, but I can't point to any time. Probably the Tanahashi match, because he thought he had him beat, and then Tanahashi, he was setting up the gun stun, and then Tanahashi, what night was that? Let me find
that one was. I can find that for you. I just watched it today. I'm blank. I watched so much stuff so quickly. I forget what.
It was night 6.
There you go. You got it before I did. There you go.
And then Tanahashi pinned him with the crucifix out of nowhere, and Tama, slapping the mat because he fucking let it slip away. I thought that was a really cool match, especially because Tanahashi, you think he's going to beat him with the high fly flow, and he misses. And then Tama, fires up, and he's going to hit the gun stun. And 2-1 Dodgers, by the way. I think Turner just hit a home run.
There we go.
Is there anyone on base? No. They're showing... God damn it.
Oh, they got you.
They got me with the replay.
So I'm watching on my phone as we're recording this, and I'm like, really? You're so far ahead of me. And I'm like, Wainwright's walking off the mound, and they haven't updated the score. I'm like, man, what's going on here? So okay.
Turner's coming up, and he hit a homer earlier, so
there we go.
They're yanking him. Anyway, Tama Tonga. And then Chase Owens, I think, has been working real hard. Obviously, the big story is he beat Tanahashi, so he's going to get a U.S. title match, maybe in the U.S. somewhere. Maybe in Japan, who knows? But he's going to get a U.S. title match. And then Goto, who was the first guy eliminated.
Man, did you expect Hiroki Goto just to get pulverized in the first few nights of this tournament? Man, he's got 2 points.
I did.
2 points.
He doesn't get pushed anymore. I fully expected it.
Oh,
He never
man.
gets pushed. He doesn't get pushed. He doesn't win matches.
He did. To be fair, he had a murderer's row of early guys. I mean, he had Cobb, who he was not going to beat. He had Okada, who he was not going to beat. He had Tanahashi, who he wasn't going to beat. Taichi would be the only one, but Taichi's,
Taichi's ahead of him now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I was going to say. Taichi's ahead of him now. So that kind of lets you know where Goto is right now. He beat Yoshihashi, so he's above Yoshihashi, but he's below Taichi. That's where Goto is right now. And he'll have some interesting ones moving forward. I think Chase Owens, he probably beats Chase Owens. Sonata, I think he probably loses to Sonata. And Tama Tonga, he probably loses to Tama Tonga as well. So,
I mean, these are matches.
It doesn't matter. The results of these don't really matter. Maybe he'll beat Tama Tonga. Who knows? But I don't know. I mean,
I didn't expect. Look, he doesn't get pushed. He's in that stage now where Kojima, Tenzan, and Nagata were when they were in G1s at the end, and they were going 2-7. That's where Goto is now. And he might not be in many more because he's at that stage now where they're winding him down.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because he's still really, really good. Kojima and Nagata were still good and still are good. But physically, I think he's in even better shape than they were at the same point in their careers. The story of some of his losses have been that he let it slip away, like Okada did that sit-down capture pin on him where he had Okada beat. And so it's they're not embarrassing him. He's not going out there and like end of the road Tenzan and just getting beaten 8 minutes. He's not there yet, but he's at that stage where it's very obvious they don't consider him he's not a contender, and he's not someone who's going to beat the top guys.
I so badly wish that I know it's not hard I know it's impossible to do, but people always ask me on Q&As and hey, if you could do a trade or if you could move one guy to another company, I just want Goto in Noah or something like that. You know what I mean? And we're probably getting too far past that point. This would have been a couple years ago. Yeah. But I so badly want that guy to just be you know what, fuck you. Just leave and go to another company and just rock for 3 or 4 more years, Yeah, that's all. He's good. He's great. I feel bad.
I think he's been a top 5 guy in this tournament. I think he's been really good. I mean, the Taichi match, did you watch Goto Yoshihashi?
Yes.
I thought that was the second best match.
I don't think you're I'm not quite as high as you are on it. You love that match. You are the one of one that loves that match, but I thought it was really, really good. So I can't hate you too much for it, but
what night was that? That was night
wasn't that it was 10, right?
Was that the night? Yeah, was that night 10?
No, sorry, that was Chase Owens and Yoshihashi. That was
night 10 was Goto Yoshihashi. Let me.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's right.
You check Grapple. I've got Cage matchup.
Okay.
All right.
Now we got to close out of the. 1 second. Watch the playoffs here. I'm trying to. They let you know. Hold on. They let you do the little side screen thing. Okay, I'm in. All right. What is it? Day 10.
So Cage match is at
I'm busy
8.
here. I'm watching baseball. What are you talking?
So Cage Match is at 8.08. So it's a 4-star match according to Cage Match.
Grapple 3.78 on Grapple.
Fuck Grapple. I went 4.5.
4.5. You're nuts.
I love that match.
It is pretty awesome. I went 4 stars with it, but
so you're right on Cage Match.
yeah,
Right on Cage
4.5.
I did. I went 4. Well, okay. Here's the thing.
Hey, you know what? It's sometimes a match hits you at the right time. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to explain your rating to me.
People who listen to the audio, though, I want to. So really, I gave it 4.25.
Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, by the way.
Yes, I gave it 4.25. But as I explained on the audio, I was so excited about finally getting a great G1 night that I was like, "Fuck it, I'm bumping it to 4.5."
Right, we're here, G1. Get into it. We're there.
I did the get into it. This is the G1 climax. It took me 10 nights to get to that. 10 nights. Rich, I normally do that night 1. It took me 10 nights to do this is the G1 climax. Get into it. And it was for Goto Yoshihashi, which finally set me over the top. So I threw the extra 1/4 star on it. But yeah, I think Goto's been like a top 5 guy because, that and the Taichi match I thought were 2 of the best matches of the whole tournament.
And that's it. G1 Climax.
Get into it.
The remainder of the G1 Daily Audio, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. For that $5 tier is going to get you all of those G1 Daily Audios. Usually up the next day, about 12 hours or so after the show wraps up. Like afternoon. They've been usually like afternoonish, right?
Yeah. Like usually, by the afternoon. Yeah, they're all out by 4 or 5 o'clock Central Time. So it doesn't take me that long to get them out.
We haven't decided what we're gonna do on those final nights if they're worthy of staying up late doing instant reaction lives or whatever. We'll see when we get closer to those.
I don't have shit to do. So.
Yeah, October 21st.
It's always up to you.
Yeah. Oh, it's a Thursday. That's gonna be tough, but
it's good that I say that because then people blame you.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
I got to drive to work.
It's always up to Rich.
Yeah. October 21st, Nippon Budokan. We'll see how that goes.
Don't make any promises. Just,
Bundling home and car insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? They may drop little hints like,
beautiful day out. Even more beautiful since we saved by bundling our home and car insurance with Geico.
or
Yard work is hard. Much harder than bundling with Geico, which was easy.
or it may be even subtler, like,
Speaking of burgers, we bundled our home and car insurance with Geico and saved a bunch of money.
bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
And now it's Geico's Motorcycle Rules of the Road. Before you ride, make sure your mirrors are clean and adjusted properly. And if you're going on a group ride, make sure the lead biker knows where they're going.
Ed, quick question. Where are you taking us?
Oh, I have no idea. Well, am I the leader? Because I was following that dude with the red helmet. Where is he?
And the rule to saving on motorcycle insurance is, in 15 minutes, Geico could save you 15% or more.
We'll see. If it comes under promise, over deliver, we'll find out. G1 Daily Audio, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. A lot of stuff up there at patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling as well. The Yes Movement. Released the first episode of that a couple weeks ago. CM Punk Best in the World. That series is going on right now, looking at some great CM Punk matches. The Yes Movement is kind of an audio documentary about Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, especially WrestleMania 28 through WrestleMania 30, kind of the breaking down some narratives that WWE has long held about the Daniel Bryan push that have audio content, have written audio, have all that stuff. We got notes, Joe. We were there. We watched it live. We witnessed it live, and I'm not letting them stand for saying this is the plan all along. It was not the plan all along, and we know it. We talked about it at the time. So
that's right.
Got all that stuff. That's going to be on the Yes Movement. CM Punk Best in the World. I got Jovember to Remembers hopefully coming up pretty soon. Maybe some deep dives coming up pretty soon as well. So a lot of stuff up there. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. Thursday TV reviews as well.
Yes.
Just did a Q&A as well yesterday. So plenty of stuff up there. $1, $5, $10 tiers. All right. So we're talking ones. You want to do N1 here? Noah's N1.
Yeah, let's do the N1. Why not?
Let's talk about Noah N1. First off, we should note here that if people do not know, Noah, DDT, Tokyo Joshi Pro, Gambari Pro Wrestling or whatever I think is also on there. But Wrestle Universe has done a relaunch. So Wrestle Universe was the network of DDT, eventually brought on Noah, eventually brought on Tokyo Joshi Pro. That now has gotten rebranded Wrestle Universe. So they basically said if you were a previous subscriber to Wrestle Universe, fuck off, your subscription's done. And what they're doing now instead is you're going to sign up and you get, 3 months for free now? You get until January. They're not going to charge you until January, if I remember correctly. Is that correct? The Wrestle Universe. So you sign up for Wrestle Universe, you sign in, you got to give a credit card because they are going to charge you for one of the months, but you will get 3 free months for free no matter what on Wrestle Universe. So just go to Wrestle-Universe. I believe there is an English language landing page. Let me make sure. Wrestle-universe.com/en, I believe is what it is. Let me double check. Yes, it is. So Wrestle-universe.com/en. You'll see a pop-up at the bottom that says subscribe now, don't pay for 3 months. I forget exactly the wording, but yeah, a great deal. If you're interested in watching Noah, we're going to talk about 2 of the shows right now that you can watch. We'll preview a show that's coming up this weekend. We'll talk about the N1, which you can watch all there. And yeah, you got Tokyo Joshi Pro as well if you want. Wrestle Princesses this weekend. That's their big show that they're doing. DDT as well. We're not big on DDT, or we're not kind of up on all of the DDT stuff, but DDT is also available there. And you're going to get it for free for 3 months. So why the hell would you not do that? So some people have asked us about retro stuff, and that's very weird, retro wrestling. So that retro Japanese wrestling is very, very difficult. So like people are like, hey, can I watch like classic Noah matches? And the big answer I can give you is probably not. You can watch matches from last year, you can watch matches from the last couple of years, but you cannot watch, you can't go out there and watch, Masawa matches from 2002. Like it's just not going to be available on this service because the rights, it's a bigger discussion for a bigger day, but the rights to Japanese wrestling is a lot more difficult than it is.
It should also be noted that you're getting October, November, December for free.
Yep.
But they are charging your ass in January.
Right. You are going to get that. So you got to get credit card info to sign up, and they will charge you immediately. And you can cancel in January, but to get that free 3 months, you have to say, I will definitely pay in January. So you're going to pay whatever, $9.99 or whatever it is, but you're going to get 4 months out of it basically. So
don't watch like the N1 and then think you're slick and cancel. That's dumb because they're charging you in January regardless.
Right. So just watch the shit. Keep it and watch shit for the next 3 months. So
don't cancel it till January 30th if you want to cancel.
Yeah. Watch some Wrestle Princess, watch some Grand Square 2021 in Osaka. You got some plenty of stuff you can watch there. So
I won't be watching any of that, but
you're going to be watching Grand Square? You'll be watching Grand Square?
Oh, yeah. Grand Square. Yeah, that's a Noah show, yeah. What I'm going to do, too, is while I have it, I'll go back and watch all the big DDT matches that I haven't seen over the course of the year. I'll go watch all of that, and I'll keep up with the Noah, and then, I'll make a decision at the end of January, depending how – it's really going to depend how much I'm into Noah at that time.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And we very much ebb and flow with Noah, but I will give them a lot of credit for how they've, Wrestle Universe. I think the service is really good. It's always been really good, and it's even better now with this rebranded service. And Noah has just, if you were an English language viewer that's trying to get into Noah, they could not possibly make it easier anymore to do it. They have an English language landing page, like I said, an English language, sign up page. So there's no like, hey, what am I signing up for? What's going on here? Like even New Japan World is kind of tricky at points to figure out if you're English speaking. And then you go on and there's English commentary as well, which is very, very good English commentary as well. Stuart and Mark, who I think do a very, very good job of getting you into Noah, setting up stories, knowing all the moves, knowing all the wrestlers, like really good stuff. This is not like your low rent, crappy, thrown together English commentary team. Those guys are good. So
those guys have really found their groove.
Yeah.
I think they're excellent, and they fit the tone of the promotion because they're no nonsense. They're no frills. They call the moves. They know what's going on. And that's so important. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
They know the storylines. They know why this guy doesn't like this. You watch a few Noah shows with those guys on the call, and if you pay attention, they'll get you all caught up. They're on top of it. They do a nice job. And I think they've really rounded the form. And the site, and I went to the bathroom while you were talking, so I don't know what you said exactly. But the site itself is so easy to navigate. And sign up took less than 60 seconds, literally less than 60 seconds. I was in, and everything's laid out for you in English. It's so easy to use. It's like not intimidating at all. So if you were looking for a way to watch Noah for free for a couple months, or even DDT or the other promotions, this is like, it's kind of a no brainer of a deal. I mean,
it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty. But you probably should just do it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we're getting nothing out of this. We don't have any kind of affiliate.
No.
It's just a no-brainer, though. I mean, why wouldn't you?
I mean, I'll absolutely email them and see if they want to do an affiliate thing. But right now, we do not, for the record.
I mean, it's just passing this along as listeners. I mean, if you wanted to sample DDT or any of those other, grimy offshoot promotions, I mean, 4 months for the price of one. I mean, that's
absolutely. Yeah, we'll have, if you're interested in diving into Tokyo Joshi Pro as well, we will have coverage of Wrestle Princess too on our website, as well as Jumping Bomb Audio. So yeah, even it's not Joe's bag, but very, very highly anticipated show. People really getting into that show as well. So yeah, it could be a real that's for free. I mean, hell, if you've like heard of Tokyo Joshi Pro and never really watched it, and it's free. So if you pay for it, you're paying to watch this N1 show that we're going to talk about that you absolutely have to watch, and this Grand Square in Osaka show, which is this weekend, which is going to be pretty cool. You got that. So yeah, watch Wrestle Princess, watch DDT, do whatever. It's free. Or you already paid for it. You already paid $9 for it. So just do it anyway. All right, let's talk about this N1. So I have not watched all of the final show, and I've watched very little of the entire N1 tournament. So before we get to the semifinals and the finals, what have you seen of the N1, and is there any reason for us to talk about anything leading up to this?
I watched the whole show. That's number one of the final. And as far as the rest of the tournament, there's only 5 other nights. They packed.
Yeah.
You had the 4 blocks, and there's like 4 guys in each block. So they really packed everything into a few. So you can get through it. I've been working my way through it, but I haven't seen everything. But I did see the entire final night. So, as far as the block stuff that I have seen, it's the matches I've expected to land have, and the ones that I knew I wasn't going to like, I haven't. So I haven't been surprised. Just put it that way.
Anything else? Do you want to touch on any of the matches on the tournament final, or should we just get to those semifinals and the finals? I don't know if anything.
Let's talk about the 3 tournament matches, and then and then we'll go from there. I think that's what people want to hear about.
Absolutely.
There was some other interesting stuff on the show, but let's do the tournament stuff first.
Okay, so we start off with the N1 Victory 2021 semifinal match here. It was Kano versus Kaito Kiyomiya. 15 minutes and 35 seconds. Kano getting the win. This match rocked. This was so good. Bell rings. Kiyomiya just lunges at Kano, and it's just like a fucking animal. Just ripping apart at that guy, realizing, hey, look, I probably can't last in a match against Kano. I just got to beat him as quickly as I can. I'm just going to go at him right away. And that was the story of the match, is Kiyomiya understanding that, fuck, I can't stand up and kick and punch with this guy, but I can be faster than him, and I can just beat him as quick as possible. It doesn't work out, though. Kano ends up beating him in a great match between these two guys. I thought this was phenomenal wrestling between these two.
All right. Well, this is going to be my hot take. This might be my match of the year.
Match of the year. Wow. Okay. I love it. I don't love it match of the year much, but go ahead, man.
It might be. I haven't decided that. I got to, Shingo will Ospreay, Okada will Ospreay. I mean, there's a lot of other great matches. I loved this match. I thought this was so great. This was everything that I want in my pro wrestling with where my tastes are currently. And the pace that these two wrestled in this 15-minute match was extraordinary. That's the word I would use. They beat the living shit out of each other. They never slowed down for a second.
And when you say for a second, the bell rang, and like I said, Kiyomiya leaped
immediately.
Kano leaped at him.
Because there's so much history between these two guys, and they wrestled with hate.
Yeah.
Do you remember on the old PWO board? I guess it still exists, but I'm talking about the old, before it was reformatted and everything. The glory days of PWO.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Where everyone would argue with each other.
Yeah. Everybody hated us, and me, you, and Alan, and Case were the only people that liked, any modern wrestling. Yeah, I remember it.
We were no better. Everyone was bad to each other on that site, and we were all fucking assholes. And those are the days I'm talking about. Where
I think I quit because one person said, I think we should maybe consider Jimmy Jacobs for one of the greatest wrestlers. Not as the greatest wrestler, but like one of the top 100 greatest wrestlers of all time. And I forget what I said, but it was some vile stuff, and I was just like, I'm done.
Jimmy Jacobs was a big favorite over there. But my point here,
that's what I was
that I'm trying to get to is the point here is a big thing that people like to say on that board, because people pick up each other's vernacular on message boards and even Twitter. You know what I mean? When that, like, you pick up other people's way of describing things. One thing a lot of people would say on that board is, this guy wrestles with hate.
Yeah,
or this match had
I remember
hate.
reading that a lot on that board, for sure.
And you know what that means in your mind, right? It's not like, and honestly, I think that's what's missing from the G1. Like, there's no hate, right? This match had hate. You felt the hate between these two men, and they have history in the building. And you noted something. This is their, I think, fourth match. Let me think. It's definitely their third for sure. It's maybe their fourth match in Korakuen Hall. And you noted something. You said Kiyomiya went right at him at the bell. Well, you remember in 2018, Kano, when he was the GHC champion, on that January 6th, that early January show they always do with Noah in that building, he beat Kiyomiya by knockout. Remember, he kicked him in the head and knocked him out.
Right. Yeah.
Then, exactly a year later, it's flipped. Kiyomiya is the GHC champion, and he's defending against Kano. And they had a couple matches in between, right? But we're back in Korakuen Hall, and it's exactly a year later, and this time Kiyomiya beats Kano to defend the GHC title. And now here we are again, back in Korakuen Hall with these two in another huge match. They've had this long rivalry, okay? There's a lot of hate, and they wrestled with that hate. And they went right at each other and just destroyed each other for 15 minutes. I thought this was easily the best match of Kaito Kiyomiya's career. I thought this was easily the best bell-to-bell performance of Kaito Kiyomiya's career. If this is what this guy is going to be, then he could be the guy. I don't know if they think so, but I was so impressed with him.
I love the new look, too. Not to interrupt, I love the look.
You know what? I want to say one thing about that. Well, let me finish with the match.
Go ahead.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay, that's fine.
We're going to argue about that. But yeah, this was just an incredible display of violence and hate and history in that building between these two. And just stacking that on top of one another. The work was flawless. It was vicious. It was hate-filled. And it was also a surprise finish. I think everyone expected Kaito Kiyomiya to win the match.
Yeah, Kano rolls through. If you haven't seen this match, Kiyomiya gets him in kind of a victory roll or whatever, and then Kano rolls through that and then hooks him, and then it gets the 1-2-3, and then just kind of rolls out. You know what I mean? Just like a complete, like, oh my god, that's how he beat him. And which is a cool finish after a brutal match where they just kill each other. You know what I mean? And it's something just guy being a little bit better, a little bit smarter, having a little bit of leverage. That's what ends that match. It's kind of pretty cool.
And all of their net matches tend to be nasty like this, but this one really peaked. And this is just everything I love about pro wrestling.
I think it's when you talk about and we'll talk about the main event too, because I have almost exactly the same thoughts that you have about this match, about the main event. But when we talk about, clap crowds and the atmospheres and all that sort of stuff, did you for 1 second during this match care what the atmosphere was?
No,
because they didn't give you a chance. They didn't give the crowd. New Japan, a lot of times, and I'm not trying to criticize New Japan all that much. They have a style, but their style is very much conducive to thing happens, wait for a sec, let the crowd react type of thing.
Yeah.
These guys just fucking beat that. They didn't give the crowd 1 second. They didn't give a shit if the crowd was clapping for them, for the other guy. They didn't care about momentum. They didn't care about stomps. They didn't care. They were just beat the fuck out of each other for 15 minutes. And they could have done this match in front of no people, and it would have been exactly the same match. You know what I mean?
Listen, how many times during the pandemic have we talked about that the Noah House style is more conducive to clap crowds or no crowds?
This is yet another example of it.
Because they just beat the living shit out of
They
each
didn't go
other.
an extra 10 minutes either. They didn't stretch it out. They could have. They absolutely could have. But instead, they just went 15 minutes. So the bell rang. They wanted to tear each other apart. They tore each other apart. And then one guy won, and then he rolled out of the ring. And you didn't for a second remember or think about the fact that it's in front of a half-filled clap crowd. It didn't matter.
What about all those Go Shiozaki title matches, which were, it's this promotion is more conducive to those kinds of crowd. Now some of the N1 shows are no crowd. I want to warn you before you go back and I don't know if you know that. So no crowd. I'm talking no crowd. For some reason, they went back and did some shows that were no fans. But
honestly, it doesn't bother me as much. The clap crowds, I think I hate more than the no crowds at this point. But
yeah, but no, you're right. It doesn't. It's
you never thought about it. Never once where you're like, ah, man, in front of a whole audience, this would have been great. You don't even have a chance to think about it because they're too busy kicking each other in the fucking face.
All three of these matches we're going to talk about had the type of energy that I'm not seeing in the G1 matches. They just had a different kind of energy, and they all felt like huge matches, and the physicality, I think, is look, during the heart of the pandemic, that we always talked about that. The physicality is what is going to help you overcome the lack of atmosphere. And man, I know literally everyone else prefers the final, and the final was great. I think in a lot of ways, this one was more physical than the final. I mean, the final had those shotgun blast kicks. I get it. And I love the final too, but man, did I loved.
There was an extra. I get why you did, because there was an extra bit of aura and history and yeah, I get it.
Love that stuff.
Yeah, it's like nerd. It's awesome nerd shit. It's just like, yeah, these guys have a history. They know each other. It's like it's classic stuff. The bell rings. They just want to tear at each other because they just want to get revenge after the last time.
And then the work was great, and they killed each other. And every time these guys wrestle, I talk about their history.
Yeah.
So that helps too when I'm invested in the story, and people never want to admit that. It fucking matters, like, to what you think of a match. The more invested you are in the story or the people, the more apt you're going to be I'm going to like the match better than someone who parachutes in and has never seen these two wrestle before. Do I think it would be a great match for anyone to watch? I do. I'm going to like it more than some guy who's listening to this podcast right now and says, "Oh, I've never checked out Noah. It's free? Okay, I'm going to go make an account and go watch this match that Joe's ranting and raving about." That person probably won't like it as much as me, because I'm invested in the story and I'm invested in the people in it. And I've watched all of their singles matches and how they've built on top of one another. But do I think it was still absolutely a kick-ass match that anyone will love? Yeah, I do. Let me see what Cage match has it at.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
okay, wow.
That's well over 4. It's a great match.
See, with those assholes on Grapple, they probably hated it. Let's see. They hate everything.
Grapple tends to be a little lower.
They're just a little curmudgeons.
Hard markers.
Whoa, all right. Joe, are you sitting down?
They must. What they give this one?
Are you sitting down?
It must be bad. What they give it?
Have you taken your pills? You're all good?
My pills? I don't take any pills.
You're healthy as an ox. I'm just kidding.
What are you insinuating?
3.82.
I mean, a little under 4. I mean, that's not as shocking to me as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah. No, they didn't hate it. 3.82 though. That's.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's low, obviously. But yeah, I mean that I don't know.
I'll tell you, it's 0.2 better than the other match, the next match we're going to talk about, which I don't know.
Oh, Nakajima Funaki?
Yeah.
I like that well enough.
I liked it too, but like, I don't know. These are both.
It's way better. Like the Kano Kiyomiya match.
That's what I mean. Like you can't watch both those and go, yeah, they're about the same. You know what I mean? Like, roughly the same. So.
No. Nakajima Funaki was good. I mean, I didn't rate it. I mean, if you want me to think about it and put a rating on it, I'd go like 3.5 or something. Maybe a little higher. 3 3/4. I guess we should talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I went in thinking, man, all right, well, I'll watch it because obviously I should just watch it or whatever. I fucking loved it. It was great. I love that it was 8 minutes. I love that. Oh, dude, there's the sequence. So if people have not seen this, Funaki basically is kind of outworking the guy for a little bit. He's got him in the hold. He's kind of working at a slower pace, and you're thinking, oh, all right, they're just going to do that for a little bit. And then about halfway through, they both just stand up, and Funaki just starts slapping the piss out of Nakajima. Just slaps him and slaps him and slaps him. Kind of a, very much like you talk about the history and that sort of ambiance and all that sort of stuff. Kind of a, all right, young kid, or all right, young boy, or whatever. All right, yeah, that it had that sort of, like you said, the hatred towards the younger wrestler. Like he's still fucking 19 years old. And Nakajima just basically rears back and kicks him in the fucking head and knocks him out and says, fuck you. Get out of here. I'm not no fucking 21-year-old anymore, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Katsuhiko Nakajima, he tries to pin him. He kicks out, and then he just goes, all right, now you're fucking dead. And he puts him in a suplex and holds it and holds it and holds it, and then does a brainbuster after like what felt like a minute of Funaki in the air, which I'm thinking that man's very old. You might just want to drop him down. Like, I don't know. I don't know that we need to be holding the 52-year-old up in the air, for 30 seconds before the brainbuster. But it was just like, he was just like, oh yeah, young boy. All right, I'm going to lift you above my head. I'm going to hold you there for 30 seconds. Then I'm going to drop it on your fucking neck, and I'm going to pin you and get you out of my goddamn ring. Oh my God, I love this.
Well, Funaki tore through he went undefeated in his block
to
get here too. So that's another part of it where Nakajima, the guy looked unbeatable throughout the tournament, and then Nakajima comes in and is getting bullied a little bit. But then, like you're saying, the finish was very definitive, and he really put him away definitively. And, I was like, wow, this is, we're off to a good start here. And everything I heard about the final was that it was like the greatest match ever. So I'm like, this is going to be, we're going to come on this show and we're just going to just toss all kinds of roses at this thing. So that set up the final, which was Nakajima Kano. And yeah, it was pretty fucking great.
It was one of the loudest matches you'll hear this year. I mean, just guys just killing each other. These dudes, the bell rang and they just kicked and slapped and chopped the fuck out of each other for 20 minutes. Double knockout at one point. You're not quite sure who's going to get back up. It's just, oh man, just great. It's hard to really describe this match other than the fact that they just beat the fuck out of each other. And you would think it would get boring. It never gets boring. You know what I mean? You would think that guys kicking each other as hard as possible, at some point that's going to get boring. No, not really. It really didn't. It was 15 minutes of that. I mean, and they mixed it up pretty well. And it didn't feel too performative in that way. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you have those matches and they'll do, one thing a little too long and be a little performative. It never felt that way. It always was kind of set up pretty well. But there was also that little bit of hatred that you said too. Where they're both because they're both cocky assholes. Like they're both fucking. Well,
not only that, but Kano has a long rivalry with Nakajima too. They've had like 3 other matches that have ended in knockout.
Yeah, exactly.
These guys they wrestle until someone is dead.
Right, and that's why the double knockout was such a big deal because both guys reared back. Nakajima had just reared back and knocked out Funaki a little bit earlier. Kano was obviously known to rear back and just knock a guy out. So they both do it at the same time. They both hit each other. It sounds like ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like I legitimately thought both guys may have actually been knocked out. And then they teased a double knockout in the final here because both these men, after so long and such a grueling match, both hit their big knockout blow at the same time. And that was a really, really cool way to do it. It didn't end up being the finish, and that it ended up being a pretty interesting finish with Nakajima getting the win over Kano. And it wasn't. It was a very definitive win, but it wasn't like he didn't hit his move and then like put his foot on him and pin him. You know what I mean? It left it a little bit open that hey, Kano gave him his best, but on this night Nakajima was just a little bit better than him.
Yeah, and I mean Kano has beaten Nakajima by knockout a bunch of times, and they've had ref stoppages in their matches, and they usually, Kano. It's very similar to his series with Kiyomiya. He's very good at being in nasty rivalries. Kano is.
Yeah.
He just and so is Nakajima for that matter. So when these two guys get together, it's always fireworks, and it's always nasty and hard hitting like this. And it delivered again. I mean, this was a great fucking match. This show was a great show. I mean, I don't want people to, but this blew away. I mean, there isn't a G1 show that's happened that is even close to this show. I mean, this was just leagues ahead of the night 10 G1 show, which was the best G1 show, which I thought was a really excellent show. But these 3 matches that we're talking about, especially the 2 Kano matches, are just another level of good. I mean, they're both better matches, much better matches than the best G1 match. And they were both on one show. And then the other semifinal was pretty good. And then, the rest of the show didn't have anything that's going to knock your block off, but a lot of it was pretty damn solid too. So, I mean, this was a really great show and worth a watch all the way through.
So they have a big show coming up this weekend. Again, if you're subscribing on Wrestle Universe, you will get it for quote unquote free. But it's a great Grand Square 2021 in Osaka. English commentary for the show, as well. This is on October 10th. The main event is going to be Naomichi Marufuji, who is the GHC heavyweight champion, against Nakajima. And early prediction there, do you think Nakajima beats him? I feel like Probably. I'm not on Noah booking as much as I've been in the past. So
you threw your hands with the
I did. I'm back in now, but I can't definitively say that I think Nakajima's definitely going to win, but I think it's probably a pretty strong possibility.
I think he should win because I think, and we've talked about this over the last year or two, you really felt like they were starting over with Nakajima. He had that first run 3 regimes ago that wasn't good and didn't draw and was a business failure. And they kind of started him kind of from scratch at the bottom, and they've slowly built him up. He's won this tournament 2 years in a row. He'll face Marufuji here. I think he should win. I think they've properly built him back up, and now that they're under more stable ownership, I think if they put the title on him, I think this title reign will do better than the previous one, even with the handicap of COVID crowds. I think he'll draw better in COVID than he drew in his first reign without COVID. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, for sure.
And
he feels just like so much of a bigger star than he was.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job with him. I really do. And I think that when it comes to Nosawa's booking and when it comes to Muto, like, we have to address Kiyomiya. I mean, everyone thought that he was going to beat his longtime rival in Kano and then win the final and then, probably beat Marufuji and then defend against Muto and finally get that elusive win back, right? I think that was the path that most people thought was going to happen. And then he gets upset in the semifinal. And it makes you wonder. I mean, he went through that period where he took all the beatings and lost all those matches and took the beatings and all of that. And the way that I read this is Muto probably wasn't willing to lose to Nakajima or Kano or any of these guys.
We said it at the time too.
Yeah,
People were telling us, no, that's not the case.
So they had to put it on Marufuji to get
right.
into
He's a transition. He's a transitional champion. This is
Muto
an old school territory era transitional champion who big man doesn't want to lose, so they have to put it on. Iron Sheik has to win the title, the title for a minute or two.
Because
you know what I
Muto
mean? Like,
won't lose to anyone else except the other veteran, and it's
right. Yeah.
That's what I feel. But it's been so unpredictable that maybe we're going to look foolish, and maybe that isn't the case. And maybe Marufuji will win. Who the fuck knows? All I know is Kiyomiya loses to Muto, and then it's like, well, he'll get him next time. Well, he lost to him again. And then it's like, well, they're in the same block in this tournament, so he's going to get him this time. Well, they go to a draw. And then it's like, well, okay, he's showing progress against Muto. He's going to win the tournament, though. He's going to win the tournament because he won the block. And then he loses in the set. It's like, you keep telling yourself that now
it's all part of the plan. Everything's coming into place. Everything's coming into place. Here's the next thing. All right, the next thing didn't happen. Well, that's still part of the plan. Okay, well, part of the plan.
So now he's 0-2-1 against Muto.
right.
He loses here to Kano and doesn't win the tournament as expected. And this is what we've been talking about with this. Now, even if he does beat Muto eventually, does it mean as much now after losing to him, or after not being able to beat him so many times in a row? And that's the big question. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I understand the idea, or at least what we think the idea is. Pay your dues, take your beatings. You weren't champ under our regime, so we don't count it. We're breaking you down to build you back up like we did with Nakajima. And then when we finally pull the trigger, the people are going to be ready for it, and we're going to get you over better than ever before because you really weren't over the first time around. They rushed it. I get all that. I'm just not 100% confident they're actually going to do it.
Yeah.
That's my issue with it. I'm skeptical, and I'm keeping it at arm's length. And, and you mentioned his gear before. To me, it's like modeled after Muto to some extent. And that's really just making him more of Muto's bitch. Like, now he's wearing Muto patterns and colors, and where before he was kind of modeled after Misawa, very clearly, copying Misawa's look and colors and the symbolic idea of I'm the new ace, I'm the new Misawa, and now it's like he's sort of converted to Muto, and it's like, okay, this guy beat you like a drum, and now you're gonna like cosplay him as well. Why don't you just let him fuck your wife while you're at it? Like what's next here? Like, You know what I mean? Like that's why
I think it's a good look in a vacuum, but I totally understand what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying is that it does have a very like Muto 2000 look to him, and that I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you.
I agree with you. It looks cool. I don't like what it represents. Like, what the fuck was wrong with modeling yourself after Misawa? This is Pro Wrestling Noah. This isn't New Japan. This isn't Muto's failed All Japan with the Bear. This isn't fucking Muto's failed Wrestle 1 and the trail of failed promotions that he's left in his wake over the last... This is Noah. This is the house that Misawa built. Why can't this guy be... What's wrong with trying to fucking pattern Misawa? He's got to pattern the guy who he can't beat. To me, it's fucking makes him look weak. I don't know, Rich. I'm not confident here. And, maybe he will beat Muta at some point. Maybe he'll beat him. But what is it going to mean?
It probably won't matter at that point, yeah.
What's it going to mean? So I don't know. And it really rubs me the wrong way that Muto couldn't lose to one. He's got to lose to Marufuji.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, that
yeah, it was pretty fun to hear people pretend that, like, Marufuji was, like, actually... And we'll find out. Like you said, we will be proven right, or we'll just be completely just perplexed by Nosawa again. But, like, yeah, if Nakajima goes in there and beats him, it will be very clear what this entire reign was about for Marufuji. And it feels very hollow and feels very much like, all right, look, if you don't want to do business, pal, like, what are you doing here?
I'm not convinced this guy has a plan.
No. It's Nosawa. Like, people have this idea that he's sitting there in front of a whiteboard, a bunch of Post-it notes, and going, all right, here's my 2-year plan. It's Nosawa run guy. Like,
I think they put the belt on Muto and signed him to that 2-year deal to try to generate a little buzz.
Sure, of course they did.
And then the only way to get out of it, because Muto won't lose to anybody, was to
who will you lose to? Muto, who will you lose to? And Marufuji must have been on one of the few people on that list, and they said, all right, fine, Marufuji.
Well, who else has he lost to? It's obviously
right. I was gonna say it's not really a huge list of guys, so
and it's a bad enough look that Kiyomiya struggles to beat this broken down 55-year-old man that is booked like fucking Superman for some reason, and it's just. I don't know. I thought
he's very popular, Joe. I just have no way of proving that he's very popular, and all I know is that many companies have died with him at the head. But he's very popular, I'm sure.
You're a lot harder on it than I am, that's for sure. You're a lot harder on him than I am. I don't like it either. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not convinced there's a plan here. And if it is planned, it might end up being a shitty one. It's very risky. All I'm saying is it's risky. I'm not even saying it can't work. I'm just saying it's risky. And you're running a risk here. At some point, the kid's got to start winning some matches, and it's like you can't keep telling me, "Oh, well, be patient. It's too soon." When everyone keeps saying, "Oh, well, now's the time he's going to win." Well, make up
right.
You either think this is when it's
no, it's on the plan. He's going to do this, and then it doesn't happen. No, that's not the plan. No, I didn't say that was the plan. It's part of the plan. Okay,
yeah,
all right. What are we doing here? Well, Joe, he's got a big opportunity at Grand Square 2021 in Osaka because he is on the other side of the ring. Him and Kano, Kaito Kiyomiya and Kano are teaming to face Keiji Muto and Kazushi Sakuraba. So he's got a great opportunity to get the win here. I'm sure it's going to happen. So
would it shock you at all if Muto
no
beat Kiyomiya in this
no if he gets a shining wizard and pins this guy? No, it would not. It would not at all. So
yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, if Kiyomiya beats him in a tag, then that tells you they're doing the traditional thing where you get your big scalp in the tag first. Because he just got the draw in the tournament. So now he'll beat him in a tag. And then it's like, okay, well, now he's ready to beat him in a single. But see, that's traditional booking.
And this is Nosawa run guy. So
and it makes sense. And every time we thought that this was going to make sense throughout this whole process, it hasn't. So I don't fucking know. I mean, that's what, Baba would have done. Baba would have done the draw and then had him beat him in the tag, and then he beats him in the single, right? I mean, I don't fucking know what this guy's going to do. So
I don't know if he knows either. So
I'm not convinced he has a plan.
And that's fine. It's okay to just say, and that's the thing too. I don't think you and I really care. I mean, it's not that big of a deal if Nosawa has no fucking plan.
I'm not invested in the success of Noah.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. I don't care. It's fine. But like, yeah, you can't just pretend it's part of his master plan. And he's just stroking his chin going, aha, it's all falling into place. Aha. As he strokes a cat in his giant chair going, aha, yes. Here's my 3-year plan with Kiyomiya. Everything's working out perfectly.
All right, if Kiyomiya pins Muto in this match, will you say that, okay?
No. Who knows?
I think if Kiyomiya beats Muto in this match, then that's the fall. Kiyomiya beats Muto. Not he beats Sakuraba, not Kano beats somebody. If Kiyomiya beats Muto in this match, following the draw that we just saw, I will believe that the wrong guy has a plan. How about that?
Okay, fair enough.
And then I'll be the one to get burned when Kiyomiya does it.
Of course, yeah. When Muto strokes that the Fu Manchu, and I don't know, brother.
But that'll look like
it's not gonna work for me, brother.
That'll look like traditional Puro booking.
Sure. Which
and
Nosawa, the question is well known for. So.
And I do think they've done a good job with Nakajima.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, definitely.
So whether you got to give him credit, whether you think it's intentional or otherwise. I think they've done. I think they did what they had to do with him because he just, they. And I think it worked out. But anyway, let's move on.
So, GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship, I believe for the first time ever, Hayata facing Daisuke Harada. Is that correct?
All right, so I want to tell you how this came because...
it is the first time these men have ever faced each other for the GHC Junior Heavyweight title.
I would remember how many matches?
No, probably 70 at this point.
Yeah. So Hayata comes in as champ. What they did was kind of creative on the show, though. They had a tag match, Harada and Miyawaki versus Hayata and Ogawa. They did a double pin in the match. So then Harada was like, no, fuck that. Let's have a singles match.
Yeah.
So then they had us, and then it didn't last long. And then, this was all just to heat up the title match on this show. So yeah, this is Rattels, the former Rattels and all that. And the endless junior Stinger, former Rattel guys, and it is what it is, and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme, but it's impossible to be invested in it or care. So
I should be fair, these men have only faced each other for the GHC Junior Heavyweight title once, and that was in 2018. They have, however, faced each other for the IPW Junior Heavyweight title twice over the last 2 years. So
yes.
And this will be their 7th singles match. Or 6th singles match since 2018, 7th overall between... Osaka Pro erasure. No, oh my God, they have so many matches in Osaka Pro. Never mind, it's the 17th match between those two men. But in Noah, all singles matches. The 17th singles match between these two guys, but the 7th in Noah. So... all right, so we'll move on here to Sugiura, Fujita, Kendo Kashin versus Funaki, Tanaka, and Mochizuki. So just a
bunch of guys
a bunch of old dudes doing stuff with their crews. So I don't know.
A bunch of guys that lost in the N1. Yeah.
Yep.
So skip the junior tag.
Yeah. Is there? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go. That's Katoge and Ohara junior tag titles against Nosawa and Eita.
Eita wrestled on the N1 show, a singles match. He beat Katoge. So that's and he really got over. It seemed like he really got over as much as you can think someone gets over without a audible crowd, and he looked good and he wrestled confident. So he got the singles win over Katoge, and now he'll team with the Booker Man and go for the tag team.
He's got a good chance. Got a good chance of winning this year. And Booker Man obviously loves Eita, and of course he would, because they're just absolute grimers, grimiest of grimes. And Eita fits like a glove in Noah. So
and we got some undercard stuff. We got
do you want to talk about it? We're running a little long. Do you want to talk about this undercard stuff or?
Yoshinari Ogawa and Saiki Yoshioka versus Yohei and Kotaro Suzuki. And this is, again, these are just going to be the prelim matches, basically. Masa Kitamiya and Junta Miyawaki versus Manabu Soya and Aleha. And then King Tani, that's Taniguchi. Muhammad Yone and Akatoshi Saito against Tarasuke, Heyo, and Neo. And then Daike Inaba, who finally is out from the fucking cobwebs. He wrestled in the tournament.
Yeah, I was like, that was a name. I was like, oh yeah, right. That man exists. Okay, cool.
He had the stuff I've seen has been pretty good. I haven't seen all 3 of his matches yet, and he'll team with Kai Fujimura, and they'll take on Kinya Okada and Yasutaka Yano, and what undoubtedly, well, I think it'll be the opener, but who knows? So that show is on the
10th. On the 10th. Again, like it's on Wrestle Universe, so if you're paying for it, watch those. You're gonna want to watch those N1 matches. That's all I'm telling you. Pay the $9, get it for free for a while, and then watch this Grand Square match because looks pretty fun. Those top, at least Mirufuji and Nakajima sounds great. And yeah, Hayata and Harada might be pretty good. The junior tag sounds okay, but yeah, I don't know. It's not a super loaded card, but I think that main event will be absolutely worth it.
Well, Inaba was in the block with Mochizuki and Kano, so those are matches that I want you go out your way. The Kendo Kashin match, I don't know if I'll sit through that one.
I think I'm going to skip that one too. Yeah, I think I'll let that one go.
The big Noah show. I think Nakajima will win, but trying to predict what this guy's going to do with his booking is like,
it's a losing battle. Yeah, you probably shouldn't do
throwing darts at a fucking.
Yeah, you probably should not spend time doing that. All right, real quickly, I just want to touch on this a bit, but Jesse Collins wrote a great article for our website this week, voicesofwrestling.com, about the AEW versus WWE ticket sales and some great stuff from WrestleTix, a very great website as well, at WrestleTix. They're also on Patreon as well, covering kind of this, just the changing of the guard here with AEW seemingly doing a lot better job in certain markets of moving tickets than WWE. And I thought I don't want to get into a huge debate about this, and obviously we're late in the show, but I thought this was very telling. And this is as of October 2nd here for people that do not know about this. The UBS Arena in Long Island, Belmont Park in Long Island, is going to have both shows, both Raw and Dynamite, pretty close to each other. Raw is on November 29th. Dynamite is on December 8th. They are setting up Raw for 7,234 tickets. Again, this data is from WrestleTix. They have sold 38% of those tickets as of October 2nd. 2,737 of those, okay? Dynamite, which is on the 8th, December 8th, they are setting up for 9,699 seats, and they have already sold 7,318. They have sold more tickets than WWE is set up for. 75% capacity already for the UBS Arena in Long Island for December 8th, Dynamite.
Yeah, they've sold more tickets than WWE is offering.
That should not be happening, right?
In the same building a week apart.
This is not. I mean, and
same show comps, Raw and Dynamite.
Right, that's what we're saying. It's not,
house show. And
right, it's Raw. It's the flagship show of WWE, and it's the flagship show of AEW. Head-to-head in the same arena within weeks of each other, both in the holiday seasons, both, you know what I mean? Like, you can't say, like, well, November 29th, that's like the big shop, the shopping season. Okay, December 8th, that's the holiday season as well. Like, that's a big part of it. So, I mean, there was a lot of numbers out there, and there was a lot of, buildings where you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting, that's kind of interesting. This one was like, whoa, this is nuts.
What I say a month ago on this show, New York is AEW's town now.
Yep.
Look at that market.
Orange Cassidy waltzed in there, moonwalked in.
They drew a great crowd in Newark, and then a week later beat the living shit out of WWE head to head. And remember, WWE booked that MSG show as a counter move. Remember, there was a concert there that got canceled or something, and then McMahon slipped in. I forget the exact timeline or whatever. And Arthur Ashe beat the living shit out of MSG. They lied up to 14,000 tickets in MSG, which is humiliating. It's embarrassing to have to lie up to 14,000 tickets in MSG while AEW drew 20,000 or 19,900, whatever it was, whatever the final number was, and filled up Arthur Ashe across town. Okay, so they draw well in Newark. A week later, they still managed to kick WWE's ass, MSG versus Arthur Ashe. And now in the same building, a week apart, comparable ticket prices, Raw versus Dynamite, AEW's whooping their ass. It is their market. The New York market is now AEW's market. And that is fucking surreal. It is amazing.
I can't believe it. Yeah, it should not be happening. I can't believe it's happening, and it's somehow happening. It's wild.
And if you believe that house shows are the first indicator of what's to come, then this all lines up with one company and one show feeling hot and the other not feeling so hot in a lot of ways. Okay. And, Vince McMahon always used to believe that the house shows tell the tale. The house shows tell you what's over and what isn't.
Who's over, what's over. Yeah.
Are we hot? Are we not hot? Who's over, what's not over. And this is head to head, and they're just kicking their ass again in their backyard, in their market. And that should not happen. It cannot happen. but it is happening, and it's crazy. But and if you also believe in the theory that New York is one of the cities that's ahead of the curve in what is hot and what is going to be next, New York traditionally has been, and they are clearly and firmly behind AEW, more so than they're behind WWE, despite the fucking 60-year head start. It's remarkable. It's crazy. It does
it's
not
got to
make
be
sense.
embarrassing if you're WWE. I mean, that has to be
humiliating.
That's crisis mode if that's happening this early into AEW's career lifespan.
2.5 years versus 50 years.
Right.
I mean, it just cannot happen. But it's been years of abuse and neglect and shitty shows, and at least with the house shows, it's coming home to roost right there in their backyard in a town where, they already took over Chicago. Now they own New York. They're going to win on the West Coast when they get a chance with, you just get the idea that, the Bucks and so much of the AEW roster having roots in California, that they're going to do well out there when they finally are able to get there. They obviously do well in Vegas already. And WWE still has a few markets where they're winning head to head. Houston's the one that immediately pops into my head, where they beat AEW's ass in Houston. So this all happened while you were in the woods, and I'm sure you were shocked to come back out of the woods and see that this was happening in this building, in that market. That's just crazy.
Yeah, but like I said, Jesse did a great job on the website covering a few of the other ones that are pretty notable. But this is the flashing light, shining light, symbol, arrow, whatever you want to say. I mean, it is just wild that's happening. So we'll see how it ends up going. But yeah, as of October 2nd, Dynamite selling more tickets than WWE Raw is set up for in the same arena. A week or two apart is wild.
Yeah.
GCW, big weekend coming up for them as well. October 9th, October 10th, they're running back-to-back Saturday and Sunday in Atlantic City. The 9th is the big show here. Fight Club, Mox versus Gage. That's your main event, GCW World Title. Jon Moxley versus Nick Gage. Been built up for a very long time between these two. Really came to a head at WrestleMania weekend. Now coming, finally here, October 9th. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this goes to Gage, or do you think Moxley wins it, or are you just going to watch it and enjoy it?
Well, this is the show where Mick Foley's presenting the title to the winner.
Oh, that's right. That's correct. Yeah, I forgot to note that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you put it back on. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, how can you? We talked about no Sandwich.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, but I mean, it'll be cool. It'll be cool as fuck.
The bottom line is they don't. It's a poorly booked promotion, except for the very top. They've done a great job at the top of their card with their world title. The whole Matt Cardona thing was a stroke of brilliance and worked to perfection. And they're kind of cycling out of it just as Cardona's getting a little long in the tooth and annoying. So the timing is perfect for that. And you get Moxley back in the mix, and you do the Moxley Gage match now. They've done a great job with the top of their card. There's no question about it. Down card, there's obviously zero booking effort put into anything. You'll do the Effie Cardona match will be the second biggest match on the show, where Effie, he beat Cardona for that internet title on the previous weekend. They've got Minoru Suzuki coming back in for this weekend as well on the next night to wrestle Janela. I watched the Homicide match. I guess I'm not going to be a popular person at all this week because people loved it. I thought it was fine, but here's the caveat. I think the Suzuki Homicide match probably was way better live than it was on the stream. That's number one, because of the whole aura and everything. And number two, I was never a big Homicide guy. Like, even in peak ROH.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you too. There's a lot of people that like love Homicide, and I think he's good. Like, I enjoyed Homicide, but there's people that like love Homicide. And even when I was going to Ring of Honor shows, I was like, he's all right.
He was my least favorite big time ROH guy, I think. Well, I don't know. Is that true? What about no, probably
BJ Whitmer. BJ Whitmer exists.
They were big. I'm talking about main eventers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He just wasn't my thing. I don't know. I was just never into Homicide. But there was definitely a buzz and an excitement anytime he had a big match. That was for sure.
When when it was a big time match and that screeching beginning of that song. I mean, it was.
And there's no doubt that this Suzuki match, you could feel it through the fucking stream that people were just, but so he'll wrestle Janela. Suzuki will on the next day. The show.
It's called the Aftermath. That's on the 10th. That's on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, but So look, they're going to draw big crowds again. They're doing a great job. They have cultivated a fan base that just eats that shit up. It's a wrestling crowd that doesn't give a shit really. They're about seeing like great work rate or anything. They're there to have a good time and get drunk and watch people just maim each other in death matches and do a lot of spots in the undercard stuff, and then see all their top guys at the top of the card with their aura, your Nick Gages and Moxley's obviously an enormous star and do their thing, and they're hot right now.
Yeah, you got to give them credit. Like it's not we're a couple years into it, and it's not slowing down. You know what I mean? Like this, no. They're smart and they understand, and they're always ready for kind of the next group. And like, it's gonna come like it comes for every other wrestling company, where eventually they just lose their touch and they don't quite have it. But right now they fucking got it. So keep.
No, they're peaking, and they're peaking right now. You feel like this is really the peak, and it's not my kind of indie. I mean, I wish something would emerge that's more my style. I can't. I watch these shows. I try. The undercards are rough. I will say that the last show, that show I was just talking about, was probably their best top to bottom lineup that they had. And the matches that I saw, I was in and out of it, were decent. By their standards. But a lot of their undercards, even when the matchups look good, it's just sloppy and it comes across unprofessional, and it's all the issues that we've talked about a million times. I think bringing in Prazak and Lenny Leonard has helped a ton with the presentation, because they're professionals. They're not cursing at you. They're not treating it like it's a fucking joke or
Lenny Leonard doesn't tell me to suck his fucking dick, which is a positive.
If you don't like this match, you can suck my fucking dick. Like, there's none of that bullshit that you get with fucking Kevin Gill and all these other guys. So I think that's really helped the presentation. It still comes across as like what I like to call a dirtbag indie.
Yeah, which is fine, but they own it. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Yeah, it's absolutely what the niche is, and that's what people are going to the show to watch. A dirtbag indie.
Their fan base wants that,
and that's fine. That's cool. But yeah, people get upset that we don't like the dirtbag indie as much, and it's like, I just want to watch like wrestling nerd indie. That was my favorite indie, and that's fine. Like, you like dirtbag indie, I like wrestling nerd indie. You know, I'm going back and watching these old Ring of Honor things for the Yes Movement, and I'm like, oh my god, this is why I love Ring of Honor so much. There's so many things that I'm like, oh, they're so nerdy, and I fucking love it. You got Chris Lovey on commentary, the very Jimmy Bauer sounding Chris Lovey, who just like, he's such a fucking dork, and I love it so much. Ring of Honor's so great.
Yeah, and when I say dirtbag indie, I don't even mean it in a disparaging
No.
way. You understand what I mean when I say that. It's like it's supposed to be rough around the edges. They don't want it to be a slick production. Their fans don't care. Their fans prefer it that way. They want it to be they don't,
if they came to town and they had a huge lighting grid and a giant video board or whatever, it would suck. You know what I mean? It would lose some of its aura and appeal.
It's hard for me to articulate, but I think you understand what I mean.
I get it. Yeah, I don't know if people are going to take it the wrong way, but no, dirtbag indie is the best way to do it, and dirtbag in the best way possible. Like you on your worst day, like when you're just like, fuck it, I don't give a shit what other people think about me. I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do today. You know what I mean? That's fine. And that's what GCW is. They just come out there and they say, fuck off, we don't care, whatever, we're just going to do it. And that's what they do.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have a use for the death matches or any of that. It does nothing for me. But you got to give them credit for their success. And this is going to be a huge show. There's going to be another huge weekend.
I will say, I'll be attending a GCW show pretty soon here. Nick Gage Invitational coming to Chicago, and that looks...
And listen, that's the other thing we always say. We've both been to Game Changer shows, and we always have a great time.
Great live, yeah.
I like it a lot better live than I do on. I struggle with it on the streams. I struggle with it. It's just because a lot of it's bad, and a lot of it is not what I want out of my wrestling. I don't want to watch guys throw each other through light. It does nothing for me. The death matches do not. G Raver going through light tubes does.
Yeah, I don't need to see G Raver bleed all over the place.
It's just Alex Colon. They say he's a great death match wrestler. I'll take your word for it. But it's just not for me. But live, anytime I've been to a Game Changer show, I've had a great time, and I think that is where they've really found something and why they've been so successful.
Oh, it's it's an atmosphere unto itself. I mean, the matches are almost sometimes secondary to just being there in that crowd and being with people. It's just
yeah. So, Those are their 2 shows.
I wonder, is this at the Summit Park District again? I cannot believe this Towns Park District lets them run this show.
And I'm bringing in a lot of big stars. I mean, they're booking Minoru Suzuki. This is like his 3rd show or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Mick Foley. I mean, Moxley obviously is a maniac. He'll work anywhere. He replaced Kingston at Defy the other night. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I did see. Yeah.
And he's coming back. He's going to wrestle one of those AAW guys. I can't remember which one. It's neither here nor there. But so Game Changer. They had Taiji Ishimori on their last show.
Right. Right. Yeah. PCO coming back. PCO coming back as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll definitely try to watch Moxley and Gage, and I'll try to watch as much of these as I can. I mean, Sunday I'm watching football. I'm not watching Alex Colon.
You're not dusting it off for Tony Deppen versus Dante Leon. So.
No, I mean I'm watching football on Sunday, but on
Alex Zane versus Starboy Charlie, you're not going to pause the game to.
I know what that's going to be. I don't think I need to see that, but but Saturday I'll try to catch as much of it as I can.
Absolutely, yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, I don't have much going on Saturday either, so I'm trying to check it out. As well, Sunday I will be at a professional baseball game, so I will be watching that instead of GCW The Aftermath. So, real quickly, MLW Fightland that is airing tomorrow, October 7th on Vice as well. MLW's new Vice program. Title for title, Jacob Fatu, Alex Hammerstone. It feels like they've been building up for about 2 years because they actually have been building up, I think, for about a year. Plus, you also have the Opera Cup opening round. Tom Lawler versus Davey Richards. Let's go. Bobby Fish versus Lee Moriarty, Calvin Tankman versus Matt Cross, TJP versus Alex Shelley. Those sound phenomenal.
Yeah, I've been reviewing MLW on Thursday TV reviews, and I've gone over all this. That tournament looks great on paper, but MLW...
And you got to be careful with MLW. Yeah, the best, every best possible scenario, they always somehow get the worst possible scenario out of every single matchup. So...
Yeah.
Got to be careful with them.
TJP Davey Richards was pretty good on Fusion a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I feel like it's tough to fuck up Tom Lawler and Davey Richards, but we'll see what ends up happening there.
But I don't know how much of this is actually going to air on the show because it's all been taped already.
Right, I don't know that for sure. Yeah, we I think they're going to send us a screener, but yeah, as of right now, I do not know that.
Well, I mean, they offered, but it's on tomorrow. I mean, I don't.
Right, there's not a whole lot of time to screen it. I'm probably just going to wait. But Myron Reed, Aramis, Arez, Tajiri, yes. For MLW World Heavyweights. Oh, I already know the result of that. Shit.
Yeah, Tajiri wins the title.
Yeah, he does.
That's crazy talk. That's just, why are you doing that?
they think that Tajiri is something more than Tajiri is, I guess, these days.
Getting?
Yeah, I
don't
think they know. I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Los Parks 515, 12-man survival, and then Holodev versus Nicole Savoy, which I don't think ends. I think Nicole had an injury or something like that. So
yeah.
But anyway, you got Fatu, Hammerstone. Uppercut.
So we'll see what this Vice show looks like tomorrow, and then we'll see what kind of ratings it's going to do on Friday.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see where they are, where Vice and MLW is in comparison to Axis and Impact, and kind of see where that starting point is, and see how much of a player they're going to be here.
Yeah, I think it's a great spot for them, and I think it's a great spot for any wrestling company right now. But with that being said, I don't know we'll see. We'll find out if it's a great spot.
Thurston got a hold of their numbers from BN.
Oh, I did not see that. No,
he's got the data as of this live show. He hasn't done anything with it yet, but I'm real curious to see how many viewers they were doing. He's got the English and the Spanish version.
Ooh, that's going to be
channels. So then we'll be able to compare what they were doing on BN versus what they're going to do on Vice.
Right, and I think the important part about Vice is they're not doing stuff on YouTube anymore, right?
Okay, so they
sort of. It's very confusing.
they pulled everything off of YouTube, and then they mysteriously put everything back on YouTube.
Okay.
Which Brandon Thurston speculates that maybe they had some deals cooking for that content that
somebody was going to bring them up on their streaming, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And
then so they put everything back on YouTube. So,
okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, as far as them uploading new stuff, I have no idea about that, but we'll have to find out. I thought that they were exclusive on Vice for now and not because I've always watched MLW on YouTube. I never once watched them on BN, but
well, I think Fusion. I think they're still going to have Fusion on YouTube, but this
Fightland or whatever will be.
It's going to be the Vice. I think they haven't been clear on that. So, well, they did have a show today on YouTube. They had a Fusion on.
Yeah, Fusion Alpha.
Fusion Alpha, yeah. So I think, and so maybe I don't know. It's just it hasn't been clear. I guess we'll find out by next week.
I will find out by next week for sure. But that's that for this episode of the Voice of Wrestling Flagship. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com, also voicesofwrestling.com/Discord. We've had a huge spike in people joining on Discord, mostly when Facebook was down for that day. We told people, hey, fuck this shit. Maybe Twitter will go down, go on to Discord. A lot of people did. Great place to go for a wrestling discussion, voicesofwrestling.com/Discord, at Voices Wrestling on Twitter, but don't do that. Just log off of Twitter and never get back on. Anyway, for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll talk to you next time on the Voice of Wrestling Flagship Podcast. Take care.
Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now enjoy a large iced coffee for just $2. Add a breakfast sandwich to make a meal. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Excited for a road trip? Start it off right with auto coverage from American Family Insurance. J.D. Power ranked us #1 in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance shopping experience among mid-size insurers. Get a quote at amfam.com.
American Family Insurance.
For J.D. Power 2021 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.